Welcome everybody to another episode of the Plug and Play podcast. My name is Alexis, and today I'm joined by my other co-host, Cameron. What's up, man? How are you today?
I'm good. A little bit of a struggle, but I'm making it through. Happy to be here.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Henry, what up?
Hey, everybody. As the only healthy member of the Plug and Play podcast, I'm happy to talk about some video games today.
Yeah, I was just kicking my ass. I don't know about Cam. You sound sick as well, right?
Yeah, somewhat, but we're here.
Got to keep that energy up, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's get started. I mean, we got a couple cool topics and then some nice impressions. I like the games we've been playing. So I wanted to start with this one. This is from Steam. Garry's mod. It's like a game where you can mod and just do different types of games and stuff. They're gonna plan on removing over 20 years of Nintendo stuff because Nintendo is looking for takedowns to take down all that stuff from Garry's mod. And this is another thing with Nintendo because we just saw that with Yuzu just recently where they took down that emulator and stuff. And then now this with Garry's mod. It's funny because it just happened just randomly. So it's just a random ass takedown. And with this, I wonder if they're gonna go after the emulator app on iPhone, Delta, because I see a lot of people posting about it, just posting videos and photos of it online and stuff, and people are just trying to spread the word about it. And some people just don't know when to shut up because that is the reason Yuzu just got shut down is because people were talking about it and they're just replying Nintendo with that type of stuff. And I don't know if you guys played Garry's mod. That's where people make their videos, SFMs. I don't know if you guys heard of that. Yeah, I think that's where they make those videos, and sometimes you see an oversized Mario or something. They make those Team Fortress 2 videos, YouTube poop, if you remember that.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that type of stuff in here. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with Nintendo. You think Nintendo's doing the right thing here? I saw some people agreeing with Nintendo, so I don't know if they're fucking trolling and stuff. So
Yeah, Nintendo at it again, ruining everybody's fun with this yet again.
yeah, it's because Nintendo they're strict about their IP. I mean, they don't even let their Samus get into Fortnite because that was a whole other story. If you guys saw that, it's
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, there was a thing where they didn't want Samus Aran or Metroid or anything from Nintendo to be in Fortnite. If they did want it, that's what I heard, that they did want it, but they said that only on the Switch, so it would be on the worst version of Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then they said that if it would be on other platforms, it would be a different skin, because I know Rocket League does that.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Rocket League has the skins of Mario and Luigi, and it has the ship from Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
In Rocket League, you use it as a decal for the car skin. So yeah, and it's funny because when you play on PlayStation or other things, it'll just be a random car and stuff. So which is crazy. So yeah, this is funny with Garry's mod. So I don't know if you guys want to say anything about this. Sorry, Nintendo's going too far with this.
Yeah, I can probably jump in on that real quick. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is just another example of Papa Nintendo jumping in on something that people probably would prefer they didn't, for reasons that honestly probably hurt them in the eyes of the consumer a lot more than help them as a business. I mean, we were just talking about just a couple of weeks ago about how Nintendo was going up against Yuzu and striking that down. And, that was an example of a time where I looked at what Nintendo was doing and I said, well, yeah, this honestly, I kind of side with Nintendo here. The people probably shouldn't be doing that. And I think pretty much every other time I've looked at what Nintendo's doing, I scratch my head and I say, what the heck are they doing here? This is really just kind of hurting them in the eyes of their community. And Garry's mod has been around for a really long time. I can remember Garry's mod being around since I was a kid. As you were saying, YouTube poops. A lot of user-generated content like games and such were made in Garry's mod, and a lot of people still use it today. If you are a Generation Z, you probably know it as the home or the originator of Skibidi Toilet. Of course, everybody's familiar with Skibidi Toilet. To me, this just kind of falls in the same vein of, a lot of previous takedowns that they've done that just really serve against people as a whole, like taking down fan remakes of classic games, or hurting, making it so that the Smash community can only play, the most recent version of Smash Brothers. Like these things just typically go at odds with what the community wants or how the community works. And, it doesn't really hurt them monetarily. All I can think of is this is possibly like a protection of their copyright. They're very protective of it. Maybe they saw a video on TikTok or something of Mario and Luigi making out and they didn't particularly appreciate that. Who knows? But yeah, generally I think this is unfortunate. It's probably going to take a long time for them to scrub all of this material from a 20-year-old game with all these files. So another victim falls before the feet of the almighty Nintendo legal team. But that's all I have to say about it. What are you thinking, Cam?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same as you. And honestly, I think, that there's a history, I was going to say a history here. There's not really a history here, obviously, with this specific situation. But in terms of takedowns in Nintendo, I feel like those things are kind of synonymous. So, like, I don't know. To me, it's, it doesn't really surprise me, I guess. And also, it's just another in the long line of things that Nintendo's cracked down on. So, I mean, to me, it's like, this isn't anything unexpected. And honestly, this is a hard thing for me too, because it's like, when I'm all for creativity and people like, being creative with assets in a way that you can be like, oh, I've made like a fake Mario game or whatever. But also, I feel like people tend to just take it too far, and you'll see really often with like Pokemon, this happens a lot, where somebody will just straight up like make a Pokemon game, and it's like, okay, if you don't change anything about it, then you're going to get cracked down on. I mean, that's just how it's going to go, right? And I think also kind of on that same line of thinking, we had a really recent example of this with, what was it, Pow World? Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, it's legally distinct enough, right, that they can't do anything about it. That is the type of thing people need to do more of. But like, if you just straight up throw like a plumber with a red M hat in your game, like, you're probably going to get cracked down on. I mean, like, there's a difference there. So yeah, I mean, honestly, not too surprising, and it is what it is. I do think this is kind of wild that it took this long for this to happen. So that, I mean, there's a huge backlog of this stuff, but yeah, I mean, not too surprising to me.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if they're gonna get everything, because they said 20 years, so there's gonna be a lot, and then people are just gonna back it up and stuff, like they did with Yuzu. And I think they're also going after like the Yuzu, what is it, code or whatever. They're going after like the people that have it saved or something, because I know people like they backed up Yuzu online and stuff, and then I guess they're going after that too. So yeah, it's a whole thing with them. So I just wanted to add this because it's just like random, like just Garry's mod, just randomly. I didn't know they had like Nintendo assets in there. I mean, they did, but like not. I don't think there was a lot. So there you go. Let's get into this next one. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a showcase for Metaphor ReFantazio. It was like a 35-minute stream, and then they showed like a lot of stuff in that game. And then the release date, it's in October 10, I think. Yeah, and then there's this one that's like, I could see this game being like really different from Persona, because I mean, you do have like the social links, I guess. It's like you make companionships, like you get a handshake, and then like this whole game it's all about like a popularity contest, and like you're trying to be like the king of this world, and like it's like a contest, I think, when they reveal like the plot and everything, because before we didn't really know anything. We just knew about that it was like a fantasy world and stuff. So but yeah, it's like sort of like open zone, so or kind of like open world. So I guess I would classify it like just like Rebirth. So So it's like you go to like different areas and stuff. So there's this one where like you're like in a city, and there's like these really big buildings and stuff. But yeah, I saw that, and then the combat system. So it's basically like there's two of them, right? So you have action, so like you just swipe at enemies, so that's like nothing there. But then there's also like turn based, so like for like easier enemies, like you could just fight them out in the world, and then turn based for like stronger enemies, so like bigger enemies. And they show like different outlines, so like you could tell which one is like more dangerous and stuff. So and then there's, oh man, what was it? Oh, there's also like the special edition. So they have like it was like $180. It comes with like a statue, some steel books, and you also get like the soundtrack for the game, and you also get like the Atlas 35th anniversary soundtrack. So if you guys are interested in like listening to like the best music from like all Atlas games, there you go. It's like a couple discs. It's like a thing, and I was thinking about debating it, just buying that, because I got the 3 Reload collector's edition. I don't know if you got that one, Henry.
Nah, I got the game through Game Pass, so no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So yeah, because I bought the collector's edition. It came with the soundtrack too. So like the whole soundtrack for like it was 200. So I did splurge a bit, but it was worth it because it came with like a lot of stuff. And then this one is cheaper too, and it comes with like a lot more stuff. I think after seeing the showcase, if you guys saw the showcase, I think it showed a lot of promise with like people and stuff, and I could see myself like getting into this like one of these days. Maybe more down the line. It depends on the reviews, of course.
Yeah, I think this is gonna review.
I just want to
well.
see like, yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, because it's like a new IP and stuff. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Atlas games they get highly rated, and they have like, I guess, some bias, but yeah, I just want to see if it reviews well, because there's like a brand new IP and stuff, so I want to see like how like reviewers feel. And it's gonna be annoying because they're gonna be comparing it a lot to like Persona and stuff, because they did that with Shin Megami Tensei 5. Like the IGN reviewers like, this is not like Persona 5 or something. I'm like, it's not supposed to be. It's like a different type of game. So are you guys interested in this one as well, if you saw it? Because they showed a lot of stuff in here, and then people are hyped too.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think I'm definitely interested in this. It looked pretty interesting to me. I think Atlas is tough for me because I like pretty much every game of theirs that I've played I have enjoyed, but they also have like some of the worst pricing mechanics and like pricing structure in the industry, which kind of annoys me a little bit. And so like I love Persona, for example, but I'm also like, it's annoying when you have like 2-3 different versions and then you hold stuff back. And for example, with Persona 5 Royal, if you had the PS4 version, you didn't have the PS5 version. So they do like a lot of stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, but at the end of the day, I enjoy the games, and obviously, you know, there's ways to mitigate that, waiting for sales and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in this. I will say, like, and this is going to come up in my impressions as well, is we've talked about before, like, anime-ness in games and like games being super anime and stuff. To me, this game looks really anime, and I have actually, and again, this is why I brought up my impressions, was like, I have actually been experiencing like some pushback on that kind of thing in recent, I would say, months, or maybe like the, you know, recent years or whatever, to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little bit tired of that sort of vibe. So I don't know, like that part of it was a little tough for me. And we can talk about this more on the impressions, because I do think that's an interesting thing to dive into. But basically, long story short, I would say, yeah, I'm pretty interested in this, but as I often do with their games, probably wait a little bit and it'll go on a pretty big sale. But this isn't something I'm like dying to get my hands on, but it does look interesting. So yeah, Henry, I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think both you guys made some points that I kind of agree with going over it, and I think this showcase was a pretty robust one. Metaphor ReFantazio, obviously from the team that's made a few of the Persona games, and Catherine, kind of their curveball game that they've made in the past, and all of their games have a very distinct style to them. I'd say, obviously the Persona games, definitely 5 stands out as one that has a unique style and vibe, and same with Catherine, kind of a jazzy, nightclubby bar vibe to that one that's very intriguing to me. Metaphor ReFantazio has a really interesting one as well. The art style, obviously, especially for like the menus, stands out to me a lot. Really, really visually stimulating, just navigating menus, which is really appealing to me, especially in a JRPG where you're going to be spending so much time in them. The combat, I feel like a lot of people have been pointing out the combat, but I think Alexis touched on it, and like people are saying there's 2 types of combat, but it's really just like you kill some like weaker enemies in one hit, and then you can actually go into a typical Persona-esque turn-based style combat for the rest of combat. So it's not really that interesting to me. Overall, like this game also has like the time mechanics, the real time, day by day mechanics that we're used to seeing in Persona games, and I think I've talked about this on the past few podcasts where I was talking about Persona games. But like, while those mechanics really intrigue me, I hope that they do give players a little bit more leeway with how they can manage their time, because the Persona games are just so on top of you with how you have to manage your time. If you mess up just a little bit, you can't do everything that you want. Even though all that content is typically like not mandatory, it's still somewhat frustrating to me when I have to balance my time so specifically in those games. But overall, like the open areas and stuff, I think look like a big improvement. Like this is the next step for Team Persona in their JRPG journey, and I think it looks great. I think this year has been so packed with JRPGs, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like, yeah, it's probably going to be one I put on the back burner for a little while and wait for a sale. I mean, I feel like I've just jumped from one JRPG to the next this year, just all quality stuff. But just because it is a new IP, I'll probably just wait a little bit, see how reviews trickle in, and see what happens. A fun point on your point that you brought up about Anime Cam, since I'm so deeply entrenched in the anime community, I've just kind of come to accept, oh yeah, that girl is a 1,000-year-old vampire, and I'm just going to have to learn to live with that and move on with my life. So, I get that, but I'm very interested to see where that conversation takes us, down towards your impressions. So, interested to see where that goes.
Mm-hmm. You said because of the anime-ness about it. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, because I think of like I don't know. Would you think like Final Fantasy is like that? Because I think like every Final Fantasy game is like different. I know like 16 is like there's like no anime shit in there. It's just like very serious.
I think that it can be in some games more than others, and it's a hard thing to quantify too. Obviously, we're kind of using it as like I'm using it as kind of like a descriptor, but it's really a vague statement. But honestly, like I would say some of the Final Fantasy games are. I would say, and I think you guys would agree with me, a lot of JRPGs in general have a lot of like anime vibes to them, which makes sense because of obviously where they're created, but I think for me, what I mean by that, Alexis, is more, and I think what I mean is more like, I think the designs of the characters is a big thing to me. Mm-hmm. That like, when you start getting and we'll talk again. I'll deep dive this in my impressions because it's really relevant for the game that I've been playing. Because like some of the character designs can get really goofy. Like if you have this like big strong knight character with a suit of armor, and then they have like a pink ponytail and they talk in a high-pitched voice, right? Like that's just a random example I'm just giving, but like that could be something that I would describe as like very anime-ness, right? And like basically what I mean is when I saw this showcase, I'm like, okay, this is definitely like some stuff that I've seen before, and this villain the villain specifically, I was like, okay, this looks very anime to me. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not always a bad thing, just to be clear, but it's just like I said, it's more just like a descriptor, I would say.
I know what you mean, because it does get annoying, and I can't think of like a game that was like that. I think the closest would be I don't know. Have you guys played the East games? YS or whatever how you say it.
No, I have not.
Yeah, because I played East 8, and it has that thing you're talking about where it's like very anime and stuff. It's
yeah, I haven't played any East games, but I have heard that about, and Tales as well. I've never played Tales, but I've also kind of picked up on that vibe from it. Another big one, I'm kind of getting excited off topic about this now, is another big one is mascot characters. That's like a solely anime type game thing. And
Persona, that's basically Persona.
Exactly, and I hate them in every game that they're in too. I will tell you the worst example, and I don't know how y'all felt about this, is Xenoblade Chronicles. That's the worst. You were easily the worst character in a game that I've seen in a while. Like, I could not stand those little, I don't even know what they're called, but like the little furry guys in Xenoblade. I'm like, please get off my screen right now. So yeah, it was pretty rough, but yeah.
Another game that was like that for me was when I played the demo of Grand Blue Fantasy, and it's like super anime, like everything. Like if you I know you wouldn't like playing that right now, like him, because it also has a mascot character, and it's annoying as fuck. It's like a little dragon.
Yeah, I've seen
and like
that.
Dude, and the voice is annoying too. It just sounds, oh my god. I just remember playing that, I'm like, shut the fuck up, stuff like that. I'm like, because it was just an annoying little dragon just like talking all the time and like telling you where to go and stuff. So yeah, we could save that for later. And I know what you mean though, like about like that type of stuff. So yeah, Metaphor ReFantazio dropping October 10, I think.
11th, I believe.
11. I was by one day.
Gotta keep you honest.
And yeah, and there's no Game Pass, I think, when I saw, because a lot of people were talking about that. So if you're an Xbox fan, you gotta show out and buy this game when it comes out. And Henry, you won't be able to play it.
Nope, gotta pay full price for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was good that you played it on Game Pass, because that's like a new game right there on day one. So
gotta be fiscally responsible.
Yeah, it did. All right. I added this next one, right? So this is from like another leaker. This is from some guy. He posted this on his Patreon, and then he later posted it onto like the subreddit for like gaming leaks and stuff. Kingdom Hearts 4 is supposedly coming out next year in 2025. We don't know like the specific date of like 2025, so it's just dropping like somewhere next year. And then he said that there's more likely we'll get a trailer. This is more like speculation that if it's gonna drop next year, maybe a trailer will be this year. Maybe in the Summer Game Showcase, I think, or even the PlayStation one, right? Because
yeah, could be.
Yeah. Oh, I know Kingdom Hearts 3 was like with the Xbox, right? I remember that. Like they showed it there at their showcase. But
yeah, I think they showed it at all of them. The Xbox one, Sony one, and the Game Fest one.
Okay, so yeah, it was that. And then Kingdom Hearts 4. I still gotta play the series. We talked about it a long time ago. Like I played Chain of Memories, like on PS2.
Yep.
For like an hour or two, but I just died a lot. I just did not. I think it was like a battle like early on, and I just kept getting shit on, so I stopped playing it. But I have the collection now, so I do want to play before like this game comes out. To like, cause like it's another like Square Enix game, and there's like a lot of cool characters in here that people talk about and stuff. And I just want to like get into it. And I know you guys love it too, so.
If you're not doing everything there is in the game, because they have a lot of side content, if you're not doing everything there is in the game, they're actually pretty short games. Like you can beat them in like sub 20 hours. I mean, obviously that's maybe a bit ambitious for certain games in the series, but like I'm pretty confident Kingdom Hearts 1 you could be like 20-25 hours, depending on the level of stuff you're doing in the game. So They're not crazy long, and that collection, like you said, is really nice too. So it's funny that that's the only one you've played. It cracks me up when you told me that, because like that's the one that is very divisive. Like a lot of people hate. And a lot of people like a lot. I like the card combat, but I also understand why people wouldn't. So it's kind of funny that that's the one you've played. I always get a kick out of that.
I still have the disc, because I was like cleaning the attic and stuff, and I found like a lot of PS2 games. I had like Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts and stuff, and I found it, and then it was like it's still like in there, and it has like the manual and everything. So that was just funny. So
I miss manuals.
Yeah. You got anything to say about this, Henry? Because are you excited for next year if it does come out? I mean, next year's stacked already if this comes out.
For sure. I mean, Resident Evil 9 was just kind of rumored to come out in the first quarter of 2025. And, Grand Theft Auto 6 is obviously the big release everybody's looking forward to. I mean, there's several others that come to mind as well. But, I thought 2023 was super packed. And now 2024, it's just relentless. So, I feel like my backlog is weeping as we speak. But as for Kingdom Hearts 4, I'm middling on it, I suppose, in terms of excitement. It's Kingdom Hearts 3 really disappointed me. It felt like the culmination of a series that I'd been waiting my entire life to see, and it felt like it kind of went out with a whimper. So I can't say my hype is very high for it. I think that, this will probably be the first time that we see like a Marvel property within Kingdom Hearts, or like a Luke Skywalker-y Star Wars appearance as well. There's a lot more IP now that are a little bit more dated, to a point where I think Kingdom Hearts can definitely pull from him. And in all honesty, Kingdom Hearts 3 pulled for some pretty recent movies as well. So I think that they have no qualms with doing that. I think the gameplay that they showed off in their previous trailer actually looks pretty cool. Kingdom Hearts has recently really Square Enix games in general have really kind of moved into more of a style over substance approach for gameplay, but it still looks cool. So I'm still interested to see how the gameplay turns out. But at the end of the day, like, this series has me by the balls. Like, I am probably going to stick around forever. It's unfortunate, but like, I feel like this is a part of my identity at this point. And no matter how much of a train wreck it is, I just can't help but keep looking. So I will still probably end up picking it up.
That's really funny. I was gonna, because I kind of just I just realized I talked about the older games and then didn't talk about the Kingdom Hearts 4, which is hilarious. But I was gonna say I'm pretty much similar to you, Henry, in the sense that like they've got me for sure. So I mean, any new game in the series I'm gonna play. I guess where we differ, and I think I kind of. It's funny with these big series that I love. I tend to find that I have like sort of like odd man out opinions on some of them, and I like comes to mind as we talked about Suikoden a couple weeks ago, and I actually really like 4. A lot of people hate it, and then Kingdom Hearts as well. Like, I actually liked 3 quite a bit. Now, I will throw a caveat out there, right? Because I know a lot of people are disappointed in 3. That's why I frame it like this. But I will throw out a caveat there, is like, this is easily the worst story in the series, Kingdom Hearts 3, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me there, but
yeah,
it was always a wacky, wild story, right? And so there was always that level of like getting you kind of taken out of the game. At least that happened to me, because it's like, okay, this is a bit absurd. Like the third, like, villain isn't who he says he is, kind of thing. But and just little tropes like that. But I think it was even different for 3 in the sense that like it completely goes off the rails in the last like few hours, to the point where I'm like, you even have your weird like established, not very great lore, right? But like you had rules, and then it just completely gets thrown out the window at the end of 3, and I'm like, okay, this is like really weird. But I actually, for the most part, I like the game quite a bit, and it was cool to see it on like modern consoles, I guess. But jumping to 4 for a second, I would say I'm like cautiously optimistic. I hope that the gameplay is still really fun, which is something I feel like they've always done a really good job at with this series. But I wouldn't go so far after 3 as to say that I like don't care about the story anymore, but I care about it a whole lot less, which it sounds like you're probably very similar in that sense. So yeah. So I mean, we'll see how it turns out, but I'm like, I'll be there for sure, but I don't know how much, I don't know how much I'm going to be like ecstatic to figure out the next piece of lore, right? But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You mentioned the Final Fantasy characters and how they were absent like from 3. Like, did that detract a lot from it, you think?
Yeah, definitely so.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think for both of us probably, but yeah, for sure it takes away from it for me. That was like part of the draw, right? Was the crossover of Disney and Square Enix, and now it's like basically just Disney. So, yeah.
All right, and then I know 2. You guys play 2, right? I'm just making sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Played all of them.
Yeah, okay. Because I like looking up some of these videos. I know like in 2 you fight like Sephiroth in there, and like I thought that was like I'm like why is he in this game? And then I learned later like there's like Final Fantasy characters, like you see Squall and Cloud in there. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's in the first game too.
Yeah,
they play a big role, and yeah, also Sephiroth. Yeah, I was gonna say he's in 1 as well, and all those fights against him are like some of the best in the series. Like they're actually really solid fights. They're really hard, but yeah, they're solid though.
There you go. All right, so Kingdom Hearts 4, 2025. Get your wallet ready for next year. I mean, we got like Monster Hunter and stuff like that. So, and then you also had RE9, which is crazy. So, yeah, 2025. I can't wait. And then let's get to the next one. I put this one that was kind of annoying because if you guys know, like the Fallout movie just came out, right? But not the movie, the show on Amazon. And so like, and then Microsoft, they're now saying that they want the next Fallout game to come out sooner. And I mean, of course, like with the show and everything, it's getting popular. And then you start seeing like online and stuff, and also like on the PSN store, like Fallout 4, like and Fallout 76 on PS5 is just like it's just rising the ranks. So like people are just playing it right now. I know one of my friends, like he doesn't like play these types of games, right? Like he was talking about the show and stuff, and then I just see him playing like Fallout 4 and stuff. And he's talking about like I'm almost done with it. I'm like, damn, like the show got him like interested into this one, and it's kind of annoying because like on PS4, PS5, or whatever, only on Xbox, like you can only play New Vegas and like Fallout 3 and stuff with all the DLC on there, but like for like PlayStation and stuff, like you have to like the only way to play is on PS3, and for PS5 there's that cloud streaming, right? And for the premium subscription, so you have to pay like the highest tier to play, and it's like the worst version. It comes with no DLC as well, because you're streaming the PS3 version. And there's like a lot of like bugs and glitches with that version. So yeah, I just hope they remaster it and stuff. And Microsoft, I mean, they gotta like, for Bethesda, they gotta like ramp up production and stuff, because man, they take forever to like release their games. Like Starfield was like, oh my god, like a 6-7 year commitment.
Yeah, most of them are now.
You think so? You're right. But it's weird. Yeah, it's just different because like with Rebirth and stuff, like that dropped like 4 years after like remake, and it's like
something like 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years or 4? 3, okay, because remake was 2020 and then Rebirth was 2024. So yeah, like 3 years, I guess. I mean, yeah, the DLC and stuff. So you can count that. And I just find it crazy that like Bethesda, they take so long, because they're estimating that the next Fallout game might be like in 2030. Also with Obsidian as well. There's like this whole I don't know if they're still having like issues. Like I just learned that Obsidian, like they had problems with Bethesda in the past. I don't know if you heard of that or if you remember that.
Please remind me, sir.
So apparently, like during like when Fallout New Vegas was coming out, they Bethesda gave them the rights to like make a Fallout game, and like during production, like they had like a lot of behind the scenes issues and stuff, and like they hated each other, and that's why they haven't made like a New Vegas 2 or whatever, or like a New Vegas sequel to like another place, is because like they had like a lot of issues and stuff. Like they hated each other basically. I'm not sure why. It's like I'm just watching this from like Mr. Matty Plays video, because he referenced that. So and then what was another thing? It's like it's crazy because like New Vegas was made like in 18 months, from what I saw online. Like they made
very short time frame. Those games were super buggy.
Yeah. Same with 3 too. I remember like the saves were getting deleted and stuff.
Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. It's the damn engine. They gotta switch it to like Unreal Engine, but I don't know how reliable would that be. Like how different it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say they are like notorious for having terrible unreleased games, and honestly, like, or not terrible unreleased. That sounds like an exaggeration. They're notorious for having buggy games. Let's put it that way. So like, yeah, that's really funny. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I am so out of tune with them lately, just because like Starfield to me looked, I haven't played it yet, but it looked so disappointing to me.
Yeah.
And then announcing Elder Scrolls like 10 years before it's going to come out, I'm just like, I don't know. I really, really enjoyed Oblivion, and I really loved Skyrim back in the day, and I was very much looking forward to their next game in general, right? And then Fallout 4 burned me hard. I did not like it at all. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'm not a Fallout guy, right? And then Starfield is the next thing, or next big thing at least, and I'm just like, okay, guys, I guess I need to just play Wolfenstein, because like I don't really care for any of your other stuff. So I'm like, maybe that's the answer. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously this is their games sell like hotcakes, so like,
yeah.
You know, people clearly love them. But it does not surprise me too. Just kind of the topic, you know, you guys are talking about. It doesn't surprise me that they want this to come out sooner, because if there's anything else other than buggy releases that they're notorious for, it's also like aeons long development cycle at Bethesda. So like, I could also see them, you know, it's the least surprising thing I've ever heard that this is the company that they would be like, hey, can you kind of speed this thing along? So yeah, I mean, they're no, I was just trying to think of a good example of recurring releases. There are no Call of Duty, I'll put it that way. Quite the opposite. Yeah. So
yeah. When I hear you guys talk about this, I can relate to several of the things you guys are saying. So, you know, like this is clearly like Microsoft pushing for brand synergy. You know, if I was some executive up in my ivory tower and I saw the clear success of this Fallout show, I mean, there are people I know that don't care about Fallout, or are clearly outside of the range of demographic of like a typical gamer, and they're interested in this show, and they're going back and even playing the games that they weren't really interested in prior to the show. You know, I'd say we need a game to come out now, if not like the next year, around this IP, and you know, they're clearly nowhere near that. And like you were saying, Alexis, like you brought up Obsidian, I think Microsoft was pushing for Obsidian to be the guys to make another Fallout game, because they were originally the ones who made Fallout New Vegas, and some people consider that to be the best Fallout game that there is. You know, it's better than the ones Bethesda made. So, you know, now they own both of those teams. They're both under the same roof. Just pass it off to them. Well, I think, like you said, you know, these guys don't really get along, and I think a lot of that has to do with, from what I've heard, Bethesda's very protective of those IPs. So when you're a studio that's given, you know, well, you can make a Fallout game and you can be watched like a hawk and told what you can and can't do, or you can do your own IP like an Avowed or an Outer Wilds, which Obsidian has done both of those, and, you know, do whatever the heck you want. yeah, I'm probably going to take the freedom option that allows me to do whatever I want. So I get it. Looking at what Bethesda has put out recently, we have obviously, Fallout 4. I was not super high on either. I thought it was okay, not great. And Starfield, which I wasn't very big on either. It really does seem like, Bethesda proper has really kind of come on hard times or is in kind of a downward period. People have been able to do what Bethesda does better now. We have a Witcher 3, we have a Baldur's Gate, we have these things that clearly are superseding them in what they do best, and it's really unfortunate because I hold a lot of really strong memories with games like Oblivion and Fallout 3 and Skyrim. Like these are some of my favorite games. These are some of the games that I, when I was younger, when I first discovered these massive games, they were like I went into like a fugue state. Like I had so little food and sleep because I did nothing but play those games so much that I like started to vaguely like hallucinate. Like I have very vivid memories of like going upstairs to get dinner and like thinking my parents were NPCs and I could just walk through them because I could do that in Oblivion because it's just how games work, right? First person games like that. So it's these games used to be awesome, and it seems like Microsoft is having problems with their output. They want more of it. They want it to be timed with, kind of like Sony is doing with The Last of Us and The Last of Us TV show, The Last of Us remake that they produced earlier last year. So, it makes sense. It makes sense, and I'm not sure if Microsoft is going to be able to crank anything out in the next few years, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out for them.
Yeah, they got to increase output because like I remember like just like Fallout 3 and then New Vegas and then you had all these games coming out, and then you look at like the Elder Scrolls, like you had Elder Scrolls like Morrowind, Oblivion and stuff, and they were coming out like at a pace that it was like easy to keep up, and then after Skyrim it's been like over a decade, and there still isn't like an Elder Scrolls 6. And Cam is just like, you're getting tired of that, of like just waiting and stuff just for the damn next game.
Yeah, I think that they just announce way too early. They always have, and clearly always will. Like they announce their stuff way too early. And honestly, something that I've really appreciated over the last few years is that it seems like stuff isn't announcing super early anymore as much as it used to back in the day. Because like comes to mind is like, Elder Scrolls 6, Dragon Age, like these games were announced like legit years and years ago now and have zero news on them. And I feel like they've kind of peeled back from doing that in general, and everybody, which is good. Because like nobody wants to hear about Beyond Good and Evil 2. My God, think of that. Yeah. It's like people, sure, you want to generate buzz and you want to generate excitement, but also like, don't mention a game and then like it's not even in production. You know what I mean? Like you announced, Elder Scrolls 6 is in like pre-production or whatever, and then you're gonna come out with like 2 games before that, like 9 years later the game's gonna come out. Like I don't know. I'm glad in general, Alexis, to answer your question, I'm glad in general people are just announcing later, but especially Bethesda, I'm like, guys, just stop with this way in advance stuff, which hopefully they will. I will say though, Henry, you bringing up an interesting point with the Fallout show is that I'm like, I feel like they're going to make an announcement in the next few months of like, yeah, Fallout 5 is in process, and then it's gonna come out in like years from now. So I'm like, they might just do that to capitalize on the show. I don't know, but we'll see what they do.
Mm-hmm. I just wish they remastered, like, just, you don't even gotta remake it, just remaster it, just like make it 60 FPS, and then just bring like New Vegas and 3 to like PS5 and stuff. Because man, just sell it for like $40 or something, or 50, I don't know. Because I think they're still missing like the best Fallout like games on like PS5. Well, that's for my main platform. I know on Xbox, like you're able to play it and stuff, but like it's still like very dated and stuff. So they messed up not like remastering it just in time, because Sony they did that with like Last of Us and stuff. Like they put the PS5 version and stuff. I mean, it still sold a lot, and they sold it for like $50, I think. They didn't sell it for full price, but they still sold it for like a lot of money. It did. It was like, I checked. I remember when it came out, it was like top 10, like top 5 in the US and stuff. So yeah, they messed up. It was $5 when the show came out on PS5. But I already had it because I bought it like a long time ago. So yeah, there you go. Fallout. Maybe the next game will come out soon. I think Elder Scrolls 6 will be the next one, and then with Starfield releasing. I don't know. People are very confident into the next game, so we'll see though. Let's get into this one of LittleBigPlanet 3. The servers shut down permanently, which is insane because it just happened like right away, like no warning or anything, just like that. And it's apparently getting shut down due to like technical issues and stuff. And they claimed it was temporarily taking the game offline while it resolved the technical issues, but I don't know how long this will be. Because what are the issues anyway? Because I just don't remember anything people talking about this, like how it was unplayable and stuff. So
nah, they didn't say.
Yeah. I wonder if they were just losing money, just leaving it online and stuff. So yeah, I never really played. I only played 2. PS3, and then I didn't really play the third game, but I know like it was like sort of like a Roblox type of game where like you just make your own levels and stuff and your own creations and stuff, and then it was something that never really interested in me. But it was crazy how these servers just shut down, and there's a lot of people that were like interested in this. They're like concerned for this, and I'm like, oh snap, there's still a lot of people that are into like LittleBigPlanet. And there was another thing where they also discontinued support for Dreams. I think I really like using Dreams because I was using it to like play like Sonic games and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like this one guy I follow. He usually like live streams himself like making like the game and stuff, and like he would just release updates to like the Sonic game, and it's a lot of fun too because it's like 3D and stuff. I'll recommend it if you can get it for cheap if you're like a Sonic fan, because he got some bangers. There's like 2 Sonic fan games that are worth trying out that almost feel like an actual like Sonic game, and like at times even better, to be honest. Yeah, were any of you guys into LittleBigPlanet? I wasn't really into it, only a little bit. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I've played all the LittleBigPlanet games.
Oh shit! There you go.
Yeah, I've played 1, 2, 3, Sackboy's Big Adventure, which was on the PlayStation 5, and then Sackboy Run, which was a mobile game. If you remember, Sony had a weird stint where they made a bunch of mobile games. None of them really took off, but it was basically a Temple Run clone. If you wanted to play that with Sackboy, that was where you could do it.
Also, one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you remember? It's not LittleBigPlanet. Do you remember there was Call of Duty Zombies on your iPhone?
Ooh,
like in 2013 or something? Do you guys remember that?
I do not.
Dude, no, it was so good, and it was like for the iPhone like 4 or 5 or whatever. It was like so old, but they took it off, so it's like you can't get it anymore, and people are selling like phones that come with it like on eBay and stuff. So yeah.
Sounds like a Flappy Bird situation all over again.
Yeah, but it was a good version. It's just like the graphics are really bad, but it's like it has everything zombies in there, like everything. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I have a lot of fond memories with the LittleBigPlanet series, and I really do respect a lot of what it was trying to do at the time. Obviously, you likened it a lot to Roblox. It's a pretty good comparison. It's like the early version of Roblox. You could make your own 2D platform levels. A lot of people weren't super stoked on like the floaty physics of LittleBigPlanet, but I'm kind of a platformer guy, so I was pretty cool with it. I think it had a really good vibe. It was a really fun time overall, and the community itself was very strong. So there was always something interesting to play or do in LittleBigPlanet. Sackboy Adventure and Sackboy Run, obviously, I don't care too much about, but and LittleBigPlanet 3 was kind of a culmination of all of them. So you could play all the levels from LittleBigPlanet 1 and 2 that were community created. I guess to clarify, only the multiplayer aspect of this game is gone, or the levels. You can still play the single-player campaign that was originally packaged in with the game, but let's be real, the community content here is what's king. Really, this is just sad for game preservation. The fact that they pulled it without letting anybody know. Pretty much nobody had time to back this up or play the levels that they wanted to one last time. I know that like Super Mario Maker, they recently did the same thing, but they gave everybody enough time, and there was this big community push to go back and play all the levels and beat all the levels that nobody had beaten yet, which was a pretty cool community effort. So nobody could do something like that for this. And Dreams is also a discontinuation of Dreams. You can obviously still make stuff. So it's not as big a deal, but clearly Dreams was kind of floundering. It's very siloed off. I think Dreams would have done a lot better if you could probably like share your levels or sell your levels, kind of similar to something like a Roblox. And I think that's clearly what they were trying to do with Dreams, and it just never panned out. So I think you can do a lot of cool stuff in Dreams, like you were saying, Alexis. Mm-hmm. Literally, you dream it, you can make it in Dreams. I mean, there's literally levels that are just like photorealistic food that you can go check out in Dreams. So it's a pretty cool time, and you can still do cool stuff in Dreams in general. So it's not as big a deal to me, but at the end of the day, this is a horrible thing for like game preservation. What the sad thing is people won't be able to go back to these levels, and I'm all for game preservation and moving that forward. So it's unfortunate in that way.
Actually, I actually never played any of these games. I did play Dreams, which I know we kind of briefly touched on, but LittleBigPlanet, no, I never really played any of them, but always had kind of like a fondness for it because it looked cool, and like I thought it was an interesting premise. Yeah, I think for me it's more the preservation side, like you were talking about, is kind of disappointing because I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm naive, and these companies would probably feel differently about me saying this. Is like I don't think it's that much of a cost to just keep the servers up. Like, I doubt the server maintenance on this game is super expensive, and it's kind of disappointing because it's like, I think it's tough because you always have to, weigh the balance of how many people are still playing it versus, is it worth maintaining? There's only 5 people playing this. Okay, I could get why you would shut it down, but there's no way that there's that few. Like, these games are really popular, and these are the type of game where, well after release, there's going to be quite a few people still playing. And so, it's definitely unfortunate in that sense, right, from the preservation side of things. So I would love to see some kind of like similar type of game in the future. Just, I really think that this is an important genre, I guess you would say. Just this whole creation thing and customizing. And I know there's some games that have some similarities, like, Mario Maker, where you can kind of like customize and create levels. There was that really popular one last year. What was it? Meet Your Maker? Is that what it was called? Or something like that.
Meet Your Maker by Dead by Daylight team, I think.
Yep. It blew up a little bit. I mean, it didn't. I don't think it got like super, super popular, but I just like those in general, right? I think those are cool, like cool little games to play as those creation games. So from that sense, I think it's definitely unfortunate. But yeah, no personal ties to LittleBigPlanet.
Yeah, I think the difference between this and like Mario Maker is just like making your own Mario level. Like, it sounds like very, very cool, and then just like for like yeah, dude, because like imagine like just like making your own Mario game. I wonder if they're gonna do a 3D version, but man, that'll be a lot of work.
I hear you. I'm not laughing at you saying that. I'm laughing at your implication that it's not cool to make a LittleBigPlanet level.
I mean,
like, the difference between these is Mario Maker is cool.
Because I remember playing LittleBigPlanet, and like a lot of like the most popular levels are like from like Nintendo and stuff. So like I remember there's like a Mario level and stuff where there was like
play 1-1 again for the millionth time.
And there was another one like what was it? I forgot, but it was like another like franchise from like Nintendo. It was like a lot of copyrighted material. Like there was like Ghostbusters and Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff like that, which I remember. But that was like very vague, I think. So, yeah, Little Big Planet 3. Maybe they'll make a fourth one, like you said, Cam. Like if they do make a new one, I wonder if people are actually gonna like support it and play it, because Dreams didn't really blow up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy too on Dreams, because there's also like copyrighted material. I was talking about like the Sonic. Like I think the best thing about it is just playing like those 3D Sonic games that like some of these like developers were making and stuff like that. Because I tried the other shit, I'm like, it's kind of boring. I'd rather just play the Sonic right here, because there's not really Sonic Adventure, because it has like the Sonic Adventure movement if you play that on Dreams.
Yep.
So like people were like making games just like that. I'm like, oh shit, it's fucking dope. I also play like Mario on there. Like they just like imported like the NES Mario 1 on there, and I was just playing it. It was just weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm like, what?
hilarious.
Yeah, like it was like an emulator, like how they were doing it. Like they just imported, and I was just playing Mario 1. Like this, everything was the same. And the guy's like, oh, I'll be back. I'm gonna make. It was only like the first 2 levels, I think, where you're like underground as well. So yeah, it was that shit. So yeah, a Little Big Planet 3. We'll see if they make a fourth one, and maybe people will be happy. Since the third servers are not up anymore. All right. Let's get in this next one. Embracer. They keep popping up like every couple of weeks. They announced some plans into like split into like 3 different companies. So it would be Asmodee. So they're like a board game company. Coffee Stain and Friends. They focus on like free to play indie and like AA games. So like Deep Rock Galactic, Goat Simulator, Valheim, stuff like that. Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. So this is the company that retains rights like Lord of the Rings, Tomb Raider, Dead Island, Metro, Kingdom Come Deliverance. So they're also making a second game. So they're like the AAA company right there. And Asmodee, they're gonna take a vast majority of the Embracer debt, which is 900 million euros. So I don't know how they're gonna pay that off. Yeah, this is like Embracer. They're just like they're gonna plan like split into like different companies. Henry, you wanna take the reins on this one?
Absolutely. Yeah, those names sound like a Saturday morning cartoon show.
The names are funny, I would say. Like Coffee Stain and
Awful
Friends.
names. Those are awful
Yeah.
names. That's my opinion.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I will say that those are temporary placeholder names, so they're not final. But at the top of it all,
Yep.
obviously this is the end of Embracer. It is, but it isn't. But it is the end of Embracer, because obviously they're splitting up into 3 different corporations. But I find the most interesting thing here is that the current CEO of Embracer has set up a holding company that he's already taken leadership of all 3 of the companies, but he will then create a holding company to then buy a majority share of each one of these companies. So we are basically turning Embracer back into Embracer with that move. So this is really, at the end of the day, I see this as a move to completely distance themselves from the name of Embracer, and that is the majority of what's happening here. Obviously, the companies will all have their own NASDAQ listing and probably their own management in terms of how they run themselves, but then it will all eventually just go right back up to the top of that holding company. So it doesn't change a whole lot there, especially since we saw before a few weeks ago, they were talking about how the company was run back when it was going through all of its upheaval. And I mean, that's kind of what they already said that was going on. Like different sectors of the company were being run in specific ways that were relevant to how those companies were run, like the board games, like the AAA, like the smaller mobile titles, so that really doesn't change much. So it's very interesting to see the CEO continue to want to be in charge of this, even though his name, he's gone on like a press tour and done a lot of speaking on this topic to kind of do a little bit of damage control. And he's even said like, oh yeah, my name has been dragged through the mud. I think rightfully so. I think everybody's watched this whole thing implode, and I think the Embracer name has become a laughingstock. I think he's become a laughingstock. But he can just stop running companies. He doesn't have to keep doing this, but I think the name itself is part of what they're trying to get away from there, and that's why they've split up into these 3 companies. I think the Asmodee situation in general is very funny. So rewinding even further back, we learned that the purchase of Asmodee was what put them in the red for the first time ever. Until they purchased the board game section of their company, they were in the black. So they were doing pretty okay, and when they finally took on debt as a part of that acquisition, that's when they had to start looking for external deals to keep the company afloat, and it all kind of spiraled out of control from there. Well, Asmodee is now taking on basically all of the debt. The company consolidated all of the debt, took out a loan to pay off all the debt, and made Asmodee take out the loan. So Asmodee is saddled with all of this debt, and so that means Asmodee was essentially purchased to then be let back out into the world just with 900 million euros of debt attached to them. So they really took the raw end of this deal for sure. Apparently the reason for that is, board games as an industry is far more stable and continuous. It's more flatlined, not necessarily like as a dead person flatline, but like it doesn't necessarily fluctuate very much. It's a very stable industry. I'm not personally familiar with the board game industry as much. I'm much more of a video game focused guy, so I'm not sure. But that's what I've heard. So Cam, I'm actually very interested in your take on this. I think you always have a very good financial take, and I'm interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you mentioning that, and also like the Asmodee thing with the debt, that is very funny. That to me is a sign of, and I don't know if you guys happen to notice this, all 3 of these companies are going to be listed separately on the stock exchange. So I think that was kind of a clever way of saying Asmodee is the one out of these 3 that can take the hit of having this debt, and their stock won't be too affected, which is kind of what you were saying too. And like the other 2 will look cleaner as a result of that, right? As a stock. So I think it's a little bit of financial play at hand, which is a very common thing companies do. So that to me makes a lot of sense. It's funny too, because also I feel like I'm perfectly tuned for this story, because I actually do play a ton of board games and have bought quite a few throughout my life. Asmodee is a huge company in the board game space. They have the publishing rights to some of the biggest board games in terms of number of sales. They also have their hands on a lot of different in terms of quantity too. So they have a lot of pull in the board game space. And to your point, if I could build on it in terms of, board game companies being a good investment, that also, you alluded to it, sales are very consistent throughout time. Another thing you didn't mention, board games, a lot of modern day board games, people think in terms of the games they played growing up. A lot of modern board games are very expensive. So they're making a lot of money on each sale too, right? So for example, something like Catan, okay, you could easily find it secondhand. You could easily find it used if you wanted, but if you're buying it new, you could get it on sale, but it's anywhere from $30 to $50, right? Somewhere around that range, right? Depending where you're buying it from. There are other board games, and quite a few of these are Asmodee published. I mean, board games can get into the low 100, right? Mark, 100, 150. And so once you start taking all that into account, it makes a lot of sense why they're feeling like they can hold the debt, because Asmodee in general is a very consistent player in board games, and they do very well for themselves. So I actually think this, and this is funny to say because Embracer has a history of bad decisions. I think this is actually a really good decision by them to do this split. I do think it's a little bit odd in terms of, if I'm being really nitpicky, it is a bit odd to be splitting up the gaming in 2 different ways like this, where they have kind of Lord of the Rings and here's a random assortment of games, and then they have like an indie division. I'd almost like them to just combine all their gaming into one, and then maybe even, Middle Earth into its own thing. I don't know, but that's just me being nitpicky. At the end of the day, I think it's a smart decision, and also naming aside, because like I said, I think these are awful names for the two gaming companies. Coffee Stain and Friends, to me, is easily the worst offender here, because it tells you absolutely nothing about what they do, and that's one of the big things with gaming companies is you want to have like some kind of signature thing that you can remember. If I hear Coffee Stain and Friends, I have no idea what that is. So hopefully they'll change these names, get them a little bit more in order. But yeah, I actually think this is a really smart move, and starting to maybe be their, I wouldn't say bounce back, right? Because I think that's a little bit too early, but starting to be like them cleaning themselves up a bit, I would say.
Nice. You think they're gonna bounce back from this? Because there's a lot of debt. And then you said board games, because I just looked up like some of the prices on them, like brand new. I saw one for like $135. Which is weird. This is on the official website, so I don't know how. I know other places might have it cheaper, and they have like Marvel, Star Wars, and shit like that.
We've talked a lot about. It's a good point you bring up. We've talked a lot about games and sales and stuff. Board games, they do have sales way less often. So like typically the price you're seeing on the website is the price like 90% of people are going to pay, because a lot of the times these don't go on sales, and even if they do, as somebody who has bought quite a few, there's very rarely a very heavy sale, I should say. Like the best gaming sale you're going to get, you're going to find like a $10 game that MSRP'd at $60, right? Like you can always find those gems of like Tales of Arise is $15 right now or something. In board games, it's like, oh, it's 15% off, I'm going to grab it. Right? It's like $10 off or $15 off, it's never going to go down to $15, right? So like, yeah, I think obviously there's some nuance there, right? Like board games are a little bit more expensive to produce physically, right, than a disc. So like there is some of that, and like publisher stuff like that. So there's a little more that goes into it, but on a base level, yeah, they very rarely go on sale. So you're usually going to get that full new price if you're the company, which is good for them, tough for consumers. But also, Henry, you've talked before about how gaming is a very expensive like pastime, hobby, however you want to, fill in the blank there. And it's funny too, because I hear you, and I also would say with board games, it's very similar. Like it's a very expensive hobby if you're keeping up with like current day releases, or if you buy more than like one a year, like the average person probably does, or probably not even one a year if I had to guess for the average person. Like enthusiasts very much carry this industry, and it's a very healthy industry in terms of like people will throw around an absurd amount of money. So, Alexis, when you say, do you think they'll bounce back? I mean, keep doing smart things and they will, and that's a very generic answer, but I think this is a good start, right? And then we'll see as time goes on, like kind of what decisions they make. But yeah, I think this is a solid starting point. I also think saddling Asmodee with the debt is really smart, because like it cleans up the other two so nicely, right? Like, Coffee Stain is starting out with a clean slate, no debt. They're not saddled with anything holding them back. I'd say that's like, that would look like an appealing investment to somebody who's just taking it at face level. So, yeah, I think I could see them bouncing back, I would say.
Nice. Yeah. Good thing you came in with the board game stuff, because yeah, I'm like very like absent from that side of the industry and stuff. So, and Catan too, right? It's a board game, because I saw $55.
Settlers of Catan is what it's called, and I actually, it's funny, I've actually never played it, which is hilarious, because people would be like, "Oh my god, really?" when I'm talking about playing board games, because it is definitely one of the most popular modern day board games. But I've never played it, but I know a lot of people who have, and a lot of people love it. So,
Yeah, I brought it up because it's a bestseller on the website. So
Yep.
yeah.
oh
Yeah,
my
I didn't
god,
know about
yeah,
it
it sells
today.
like crazy. Everybody has
Yeah.
it.
Oh shit.
Except me.
Alright. Yeah, see, like, yeah, like the board games. The only thing I know is like Monopoly and stuff, and like
Mhm.
the Game of Life and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like this is like hardcore stuff.
Yep. I think
So I'm
video
casual.
game fans like us and people who listen to the podcast, I think you guys would be surprised how much they've evolved. Like, I grew up playing, Monopoly or Trouble or Life, like those kind of board, or Clue, you know what I mean? Like very generic board games, but when you dive deeper, if you ever have like an itch to dive deeper into board games, there is so many in the last like 10, 15 years, almost like a renaissance type of thing. And there's a lot that are even like very video gamey. So like I actually had a board game and I ended up selling it on because it wasn't as appealing to me as I initially thought it was going to be, but it was straight up just like basically a video game in board game form. Like you had an inventory, you had equipment you were upgrading, you had skill abilities, like,
Oh shit.
and they're all just on cards instead of, digital. So it's like, and I think a lot of people, obviously getting a little sidetracked here with board games, but I think it's an interesting discussion because I think a lot of gamers would like to play board games if they gave them a shot, and I like it as a nice like screen break. If I've been playing a lot of games, I've obviously been like having a lot of screen time. It's nice to kind of break that up. But I would say like, there are some board games that I think like video game players would very much enjoy because there's a lot of crossover between them. So yeah, I mean, I would always encourage anybody to just check out what's out there, and I think you'd be shocked at especially if you have that background of playing like Monopoly only growing up. I think you'd be shocked how many different types of board games there are. So
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Cause like with like board games and stuff, I can bet the return on investment is high compared to like games and stuff, because like you gotta pay salaries, you gotta ship it out and all that stuff. So yeah, there you go. Embracer, man. Hopefully we were talking about like this like last time, that I think Embracer maybe by the end of the year they can bounce back, maybe. I don't know. So there's a lot. So they're always restructuring and stuff. So they're making moves, because before we were talking about how they're like letting go a lot of employees, closing down studios and stuff, and now they're just like restructuring. So I guess they're like in the final plans. So that's cool to see. All right, let's get into this our last couple stories. Stellar Blade controversy. I haven't really noticed. Oh, I did notice it. I just see people like on Twitter and stuff a little bit, but like I'm not sure like how most people feel. Apparently there's like a couple of controversies with this game, which is funny because I remember when it first got revealed, like nobody was talking about it, and I guess like once there's like a trailer and those more was like revealed about it, people are going crazy about it. But like it's always been here, like the Stellar Blade and stuff and all that. Like there's like one of them was the petition, which is it's just dumb as hell. Like, what's the point of like a petition? Like, I don't think petitions are not doing anything for like anything like on there, because like people are just like digitally signing it and stuff. So it's just like a like worthless thing on there on change.org. I'm surprised that site is still up, but apparently it has like 70,000 signatures, and people are like, they're saying like free Stellar Blade because like, it gets censorship or something. Because they noticed like the costumes were different from like the first version compared to like the update, and like some like bro, like the suits is like barely any like difference and stuff.
Yeah, there's no change at all.
Yeah, it's like what the hell, like it's like similar, but like I guess like people just want like they don't want it censored and stuff like that. But and then there's like this one guy online. His name is Henry. I don't know his name. His name is Mark.
I hope not, Henry.
Yeah, no. It was I don't know why your name popped up. It was Mark Kern. It was Mark Kern. So apparently he's like a ex Blizzard employee and stuff, and I guess he's the driving force for this. Like he's trying to get this to like be how it was before. It got censored apparently, but Yeah, I think there's just like a whole lot of like nothing and stuff, and then there's also the thing with the hard R shop. Um, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Like you have to explain that.
Please
to
clarify
anybody
that,
listening, 'cause they're
yes.
gonna be like, what?
So so they found like a screenshot in the game, like some graffiti or something,
Mhm.
and like it says hard, and then right next to it in like a neon lit like signs R shop. So when you see it together, it says hard R shop, and if you know what hard R means, you know what that means. It's like yeah.
Okay,
and
so,
then
so I gotta jump in for a second,
Yeah,
not to
go
cut
for
you
it.
off. I'm curious
Alright.
on you guys' take on that. So, when I first saw this, I had kind of conflicting thoughts. So first of all, I was like, I want to give people, especially the game devs, the benefit of the doubt, and be like,
yeah.
I think maybe this was like, the graffiti was maybe like auto-generated. You know what I mean? They just had it spit generic words out. And then on the flip side, I was like, but wait, when you're like designing the environment, right? Like how much of that is, customizable versus like generated or whatever. But I'm like, when you're designing the environment and you're like, you're just assessing things on a game design level, like how did nobody notice that? I'm like, how do you not see that? Because like when I saw the picture, I'm like, it's not like, I don't feel like it's that much of a stretch. You know what I mean? I guess I would say, like, I don't think it's that hard to see it. And I'm just like, that is so goofy to me that like they wouldn't have noticed. Now, I would also say this, and I wonder if this is where, you guys' heads is at too, is this isn't an American studio making this game. So I'm like, okay, maybe they just didn't realize what that meant. You know what I mean? Or maybe they saw it and was like, oh, that's nothing. Because like it doesn't mean anything to me. So I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thing to think about. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I'll say something. It's because it's a Korean studio, right? They're making it, and I guess it's just like a funny coincidence with that. And then it's like, because like that type of word, the hard R, is like it's an American word. So like it's something made by Americans, and then like in Korea, like that type of word doesn't exist. Like you can't translate it, because I know some words like racist terms like you can't really translate it in like I know Japanese, Chinese and stuff, like is like different, like because it's a new word basically. So yeah, I think it's just a coincidence. So I don't know how people found it, but I think they changed it now. So they put a different word on it.
They patched it, yeah.
And I guess it'll make sense because they probably like when they were localizing it and stuff, they noticed that, I guess. So like, oh shit, yeah, let's change that. And then yeah. So go ahead, Henry, if you want to spit your take on this.
Yeah, I mean, I found this whole thing to be pretty odd, honestly, and I feel pretty divorced from it. I don't know how, Alexis, you said you haven't really seen it that much. I feel like I've seen it all over the place. Like everywhere I go, everywhere I look, people seem to be complaining or talking about people complaining about this. Like looking at it, it's a culmination of a few things that I think just kind of added up into a lot of really minor things that nobody really should be complaining about. So initially, starting off, like these outfits being changed, like you said, there's 2 outfits that were changed out of 13 plus or something like that, and all of them, in all honesty, all of these outfits are pretty like sexualized in general. The 2 that were altered only slightly. There was like some lace put up in front of one of the cleavage of one of the outfits, and like I think her breast size was maybe slightly minimalized and her hips were covered a little bit more, something like that. It very minor, very, very minor changes. And there, like I said, are more revealing, more sexualized costumes in the game, so you can always just use those if that's really what you're going for. The hard R thing, I think, is also like another interesting thing because, yeah, I think it is a lot of appealing to Americanized sensibilities. It's a word that's not really used in Korea where this game was made, and like we as Americans found it, and we found it to mean something completely different that they probably didn't even realize. So it was patched out because of that. But a lot of this, this controversy stems from they actually talked with the game's director about this, and he even said, "Yeah, we intentionally made those changes, but we're having an internal dialogue around, reverting the changes, or if those changes were okay to make within the company," which comes off as like somebody put a gun to their head and possibly like made them change it, which just kind of adds fuel to this fire of like conspiracy, like people are just trying to make my video games less sexy or something like that, which who knows why they have to discuss it internally. I mean, it could be for any number of reasons. I don't know why the change was made initially either. And prior to this game coming out, it was heavily advertised as not being censored, not being altered at all worldwide, which was mainly a big deal in Japan, because Japan has a lot of censorship stuff going on. There's actually a comment made by the Japanese development studio behind Dead Space, the Dead Space version of, or the Japanese version of Dead Space, and they had a comment saying, well, the ESRB in Japan allowed Stellar Blade, but not Dead Space, because both games are equally violent. Why did one get through? And so they're known for having much harsher censorship there. So the fact that it was not censored is a big deal. But after that, of course, they ended up censoring it in multiple accounts, apparently minorly in these costumes and with that hard R alteration as well. So it ended up being censored. So I get why people are upset, but it's like, upset over what? There's not much here to be upset about. And going into the whole testing angle, I do actually have some insight on that. So I have worked as a tester in the IT industry before. So not video game industry specifically, but IT. So I have a lot of experience with how that process works, and it may be slightly different, but I have an idea of how it would work in the video game industry as well. But anyways, the process for that testing is it's normally pretty mind-numbing stuff. So somebody's probably going to be told, they walk into their 9 to 5 and they're told, you need to find these things. This is how something's supposed to be. Make sure it's like that. And if it's not, there's a problem. And so people were just told, okay, I have all these art assets, like hard in graffiti and R shop here and there, or whatever the case is, and they're just supposed to be randomly plastered everywhere throughout the game. And since they were there, the tester basically is just going to check off the box and say, yep, they're there. They're not glitching. They're not making any weird artifacts. They don't look different, or they're not upside down, or whatever the case is. There's a lot of different things that a tester can possibly look for to check there. But, they're mainly just going to be looking to see if anything looks off. And most of those testers are probably going to look and they're going to say, yep, those are the assets that I know are supposed to be there, and they're not going to look any further into it, especially if it's like a Korean testing team that definitely doesn't know the cultural connotation of hard R. But I would say even like a American testing team, if there may have been some kind of American QA that was associated with this project. I haven't looked at the credits to determine that, but even they would probably look at this and check it off, it's, clock out and say, yep, that was what it was supposed to be, and be fine with it. So from a testing perspective, it may seem like, well, how did nobody catch this? Well, I mean, like, dozens of people played this game before IGN even said this is a thing, and nobody caught it then either. This is something that probably 99% of players were never going to stumble across, and it just so happened they got unlucky that, one of the biggest news/video game websites in the country found it and posted about it, and it blew up. It was number 4 trending on Twitter, just the hard R thing in general, from Stellar Blade. And I was just like, okay, this is clearly something people want to talk about and discuss, which, I feel like this is just a whole lot of nothing. It's a big nothing burger here, and the outrage surrounding it is kind of baffling to me. And I think we're in a huge talking point right now in the gaming industry around this kind of thing. And I'm not getting it, not following it. It's foreign to me.
I think it's because like with Sony and stuff, they have like a lot of like censorship with this type of stuff. Mainly with like visual novels. Like if you do play like a visual novel like on PlayStation compared to like a Switch, like the PlayStation version is most likely censored.
Yeah.
Compared to the
Neko Para comes to mind for me.
Yeah. I think there was another one, Tsukihime, I think, or Tsukihime,
something like that,
or something.
Tsukihime.
Yeah. They said that the manual that that's coming with that is like is gonna be censored on the PlayStation version or something compared to the Switch. So it's like this whole thing. So I guess people are just like kind of fed up with that type of stuff. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I mean, with like Stellar Blade and stuff. I mean, you're just playing as a hot character. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in for a second and say I'm mad about them censoring that. No, I'm kidding. No, I honestly don't care. I'm not even gonna play this game probably. But no, in all seriousness, I think what was funny is because we talked about the shop, and I think that is 100%, by the way, a coincidence. Like because I feel like earlier I was almost making it sound like I thought they intentionally did it. Never would I think that it doesn't seem like they intentionally did that. I just thought it was kind of interesting in terms of like it was just it's just a weird thing. And like, honestly, this is the funny part too. I don't know if you guys are kind of like me, but when I'm playing something, like I would have never seen this playing it. Like it's because I don't look at that. Like I'm just like zooming around, running around. I don't like stop and take in the sights. I actually know people who do play like that, but I don't play like that. So no, I think the outfits, like I saw that they like in the article they were referring to like confronting the game director and like asking him about it recently in an interview, and I was just like, it shocks me that people care this much, but honestly, I know that they do even before this happened, because we've seen stuff like this countless times. And like for this game where you straight up, there's like incentives. So there's incentives obviously in a lot of games that, you get this skin or you get this whatever. But like it's always a weird reminder to me that like people will straight up like buy that DLC or pre-order it for that outfit and then get really mad when it gets changed at all. And it's like I'm like I don't know. I just don't care that much. And I'm like there's so many, this is going to sound goofy, but I'm like, there's so many other things that they could look at all throughout the existence of this world that I'm like, it's so funny to me that you're up in arms about this one thing. So I don't know. I think it's absurd, but people are going to be mad about anything. And I looked at the pictures and I'm like, yeah, like I see the change on that one outfit that's like on the article headline, and like it's not even really that much of a change, like you said, Henry. It's like a lace or whatever. But what's funny too is there's other way more revealing outfits that like weren't modified at all, and I'm like, oh my god, like do we really care about this one single one? So it's goofy. It's so goofy. Yeah. Anytime I see something like this, it's always hilarious to me. I'm not going to lie. So
yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, I'm only there for like the combat and stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, tried the demo out and it's good.
Yeah.
Not great, but it's good. Not worth getting so mad about though.
Yeah, I still gotta try it. I heard the early parts is kind of, but that's all I know. But so. There you go. And let's get to our last story. They just happened like yesterday, but Helldivers 2. There's like this whole thing with Steam, right, on PC, that starting in a couple of days on May 6th, the Steam users are going to need a PlayStation Network a login to continue playing the game. So once they announce this, like there's like a whole flood of like PC players like going insane. Like it's like going crazy online. And apparently it was always a requirement, but it wasn't enforced. So like you could just play and stuff to like play online without having to log in and stuff. and apparently they've been Sony wants this to ensure that like players are like protected from like griefing or like cheating and all that stuff, like in the game. So like it's easier to report, I guess. I don't know how it is like on Steam, because I know like on when I play like on Helldivers 2, like on PS5, like you can't really report PC players, I think. Because I remember trying to do that, because I remember one time, there's only one time we found like a cheater in the game, and like he was spamming like sentries like across like the field and stuff. So there was like 20 sentries and stuff, and like my frames were dipping, right? So like my game was starting to get slow and stuff. So we just left the game just to like protect ourselves from that. And there was only like one cheater. So like that's all I can remember. And it was like a PC player, because like the name was like different and stuff. And like when I try to report or whatever, like it wouldn't let me. So I guess this is part of like the good thing. And once they announced this, because they announced it on Twitter and stuff, and there's like a whole like thing with like Discord and stuff. Like people are like getting pissed at the community manager and stuff. Like within a few hours, there's like over 14,000 negative reviews, which is a lot. And then now it's at 84K negative reviews on Steam, if you look at it right now.
Yeesh.
And it's weird, because I thought, man, like this is like nothing, just make an account, because you do that with like Minecraft and stuff. Because when I played Minecraft on PS5, I had to like log in with like a Microsoft account and stuff. I was like, what the hell? So I had to like reset my password, because I didn't know what it was, check my emails and stuff. It was a little annoying, but I guess now like PSN, there's like this whole thing. People are just pissed. Like they're really pissed. Like you go online, like they're just going crazy. And one more last thing before like I hand it off, or if somebody wants to continue what I'm saying, but apparently like PSN is not available like in a lot of countries compared to Microsoft. So there's only like 70 or 80 countries that are available for PSN, compared to like Microsoft, where like it's like almost like 100%. Like almost every country that can play this can like play it. So like PSN is just like, some people are like getting scared, because there's one guy that said that my country, I can't make a PSN because my country is not included with it. Because it tracks you through like IP and stuff, and all that stuff. So like you're gonna need like a internet connection to that country or whatever to make a PSN. So it's like this whole thing. If you were planning playing it on PC, this is like one of the first games that's requiring you to have a PSN. So if you want to chat in, Henry, does this distract you from playing Helldivers?
Nah, I wouldn't say so. If I was going to play this game, I was going to play it on PS5, and so since I obviously already have a PlayStation Network account there, it wouldn't really change anything for me. But overall, I think I didn't know about the people in other countries wouldn't be able to play the game at all if they're in the wrong country that Sony doesn't have a presence in yet. I'd say for that's actually, I feel for those guys, and this change is obviously not beneficial for them. But otherwise, I think the vast majority of the people complaining about this probably don't live in those countries, and therefore are just complaining about the fact that they have to create another account. And really, there's a little bit more to that, obviously, but I think Sony's ultimate goal here, I think it's funny that they say it's for, like griefing purposes and keeping the community safe and pure. Obviously, this is an attempt to get some juicy user data, as every company wants to. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that it's just, I've read books about this. I try to keep up on this as much as I can, because I don't like people taking my data as much as the next guy. If anything, I probably don't like it more than the next guy. But it's just impossible to avoid in this day and age. You really just have to pick and choose your battles, and who do you want to know, what you had for breakfast, and who do you not? And, in this case, Sony, knowing what games I play and how long I play them and stuff like that, I'm honestly way more okay with that than like Facebook knowing my address and like if my wife is pregnant or something like that, which they statistically have been able to figure out before family members even know. If you don't know anything about that, go feel free to Google it. But yeah, it can be scary having a bunch of companies know a lot more about you than probably even you know. But in this case, like I don't see the huge thing here. I mean, everybody makes you sign up for an account whenever you use any service, and this is, a very minor part in that. And, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to engage with the game. And, that sucks, but it is what it is. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's that huge of a deal. And I don't see why it's, that big of a hubbub. And, clearly Sony has learned their new foray into PC gaming, that the PC community is very vocal. They will definitely let you know in review bomb fashion if they do or don't like something that you've done. So that's probably all I have to say about that.
You want to say anything on this, Cam? Were you planning to play Helldivers 2 on the PC, or if you do plan it at all?
Yeah, no, I wasn't probably gonna play this at all, but definitely not on PC. I was just gonna play it on PlayStation if I was gonna give it a try. But I kind of feel the same way as Henry, where it's like you just simply can't get away from it nowadays, in terms of preserving your data. And so like I understand that as a valid, I guess, like complaint for people, but this is another instance, and we've talked about this before, of like the PC gaming community is very sensitive. And I guess like for me, I don't know if I'm just, too corporate loving, I guess, in these cases, but it's like I don't really see what the big deal is. It's like you have to make another account. Okay. Like I don't understand, like, I understand the complaints that you might have that are tied to doing that, but it's not that big of a deal, I guess. And so I guess as somebody also, and this is related to this, but a little bit off topic, I guess, because it mostly pertains to the review bombing, is I actually super hate people review bombing like this for reasons that are not like the quality of the game. Because I think, and I understand people feel like that's the best way for them to like voice their displeasure, but it's like, this is so useless in terms of like somebody making that purchase decision or not. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, okay, this game looks terrible because it has a bunch of bad reviews, but it's like, no, this doesn't even speak to the quality of the game. It's people mad that they had to create a PSN account. Like, I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine. But overall, I would say, yeah, it's just another thing where people are just like hypersensitive to being asked to do, an extra step or like go make an account. So,
yeah, it's because there's like a country. Some countries are not allowed to make an account. So there's like this whole thing with that. So that makes sense. I'll continue playing on my PS5, so I'm good right there. So.
Yeah.
That's it for the news. Let's get into what are we playing, right? So our game impressions. I'll start with mine. So I'm playing like a couple of various things. Let me start with the Delta app, right? So Henry was talking about this, like, what the hell is the Delta app? I'm like, oh, this is the emulator that you can get on your phone. And I was just playing some games that on there, and there was two of them. It was a Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 6, but they call it Final Fantasy 3 because it was the US release. So, but that's like the only way to play it on the SNES or whatever. And so far, those games are really good. Like, because I haven't really like played them. Like I only saw like videos of it. That's it. And then when I'm playing it, it's like when you're playing it, it's like when you think about it, it's like this game came out like over like 30 years ago, and it's like they still hold up very well. For like Chrono Trigger and stuff. Like so far, like in Chrono Trigger, is like I like the animations for like the pixels. There's a lot like in there. Like they did a lot of work to like the characters and stuff. There's like a lot of emotion and stuff. The music, of course, is like really good. In it, because like you start, so like basically like Chrono Trigger is like a time travel game. So basically, that's how it is. Like there's like it's like a clock on the logo, whatever. So that's basically what it is. And and like the art is about like Akira Toriyama, so you can see like the Dragon Ball Z-esque of character designs in there, because you know like the main character Chrono, he has like the Gohan here, like a lot of spikes coming out and stuff. Yeah. And then you have like some other it's like Bulma, it's like hair like that, it's just like different color and stuff. Like you could tell easily like it's Akira Toriyama, the art style.
Yeah, distinct.
So yeah, I've been playing it for like an hour or two. I'm getting interested in this game so far, so I can't wait to play more. I think I'll play a little bit more, and then I'll actually buy the game like on Steam or whatever, and then try it on there. Because I'd rather play with like a controller, and then there's like animations, like anime cutscenes on the Steam release. So like Persona, you know how they have like cutscenes that are animated, yeah, like that. So like I'll try that out, and maybe there's some mods in there that could help out and stuff. So I'm testing it out as like a demo to see if I'll buy the game, just to see how it runs, how it plays, to make sure I like it, because I don't want to pay for a game that I don't really like. So yeah, so far so good. So I would recommend it if you're I know it's like a really good RPG, like one of the most popular ones. So far I'm really liking it. And for the other game, Final Fantasy 6. So I haven't really played like the first 6 games because they're like very old, and they just got ported to the PS4 with the pixel remasters. And Cameron was playing them a couple of weeks ago or months ago. He was talking about it and stuff because he bought it on sale, and I'm just waiting for it to be on sale again because I'm almost done with like Rebirth and stuff. So like I have time to like play those old games. And would you say those games are long, Cam? Because you played 1 and 2, right? So how long would you say those games are?
It's an interesting series because they vary really heavily. I've looked at them. Obviously, How Long to Beat we talked about is maybe not their most reliable, but yeah, like they vary quite a bit. 1 and 2 you could beat in less than 20 hours. I think for one Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster, I think I was clocked in at like 14, maybe. By the end of it, and then I think 2 it was somewhere around 18. So yeah, they're pretty short games, honestly. But the thing is, like, I think starting with maybe 4 all the way through 6, I think they get into like the 30, 40-ish range, and who knows after that, right? But like, yeah, I think the first few for sure are pretty short. So
nice. So yeah, I can't wait to play those games because I want to see like the origins and stuff, and see like how everything transpired. And I know the NES version is like very, very old because I see some gameplay. It's like a black screen. It's like very dated. So like the pixel remasters are like, I say the best way to play them, unless people are talking about like the DS or the PSP. But I don't like how they sound on like on the DS because it has like a very weird like sound. If you guys know like what I'm talking about, like the DS sound chip, whatever. It's like it's different from like the NES or SNES. So yeah, and then Final Fantasy 6, man, that shit. So far, like I'm very like into it now. Like only like a couple hours in. So like the whole premise is like interesting and stuff. So I'm not gonna say anything on it because I don't want to spoil it. But like the whole premise of like the world and everything is like very interesting. And yes, so far the music, like you could tell there's like it's Final Fantasy, like the music, like right away. Like I remember like just walking in the overworld and stuff, like, oh, this is Nobuo Uematsu right there, like he's cooking right there, like geez, man. Like I can't wait to like play more of it. So I think I'm done with playing it on my phone. So because it's very old, like the gameplay, like because it's like, oh man, so it's very slow like playing it. And it sucks even more on the phone because you have to like tap your phone and stuff, and sometimes you don't hit it. So it's like a whole like a mess right there. So I think yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because we've talked about this on previous episodes, and I'm curious, like on phones, I need that tactile button feel. So with these emulators, are you having issues with that? Are you missing the buttons? How is that working out for you?
Yeah. It's tough because it's turn-based, right? So you would think it's easier, but sometimes you like miss it and stuff. So like you have to look at your phone and stuff and like check, and then sometimes the enemy's attacking you at the same time because it's active turn-based or whatever. So then your enemy's attacking you and stuff. Sometimes you misclick or you're too slow I know there's like one boss that you have to be quick. You had to be like you gotta make your moves correctly and stuff. And like sometimes I'll mess up and I'll just get like take a lot of damage. Cause I just play on my way to work and stuff. So like I play like a couple minutes and stuff. So yeah. If it's on your phone, it's free. You just gotta get the ROMs for it. So like if you have a game, just get the ROMs for it. There you go.
Is it difficult to get ROMs on your phone? I've never had to do that before.
No. People say Google it, but I don't recommend doing that. Just go on Reddit. There's like some sites that have that. There's one I use called Vimslayer or whatever.
Yeah, Vimslayer. Yeah, I love Vimslayer.
Yeah. I use that because it's reliable and stuff, and like you don't gotta worry about viruses and stuff. So
yeah,
like I've always been using that for like all my emulators and stuff. So yeah, it's just fun. So if you're on iPhone, go for it. Just play like some games for a little bit. But like I just prefer playing it like on a console or something, or like a PC, like way more than the phone, because it's just different. So yeah, I can't. When it goes on sale, the Pixel remasters, I think I'll pick them up, because I was holding out hope for physical, but Square Enix, man, they don't want to release it.
Yeah, I was gonna say good luck with that. They had like a super limited number of the physical copies. As soon as that was announced, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna even bother trying to do that. I'll just get them digital. So
yeah, you can get a Switch one on PlayAsia for like
nice.
yeah, for like retail, I think. But I don't want the Switch version. I want the PlayStation
yeah.
one, because I want my trophies and I want it to look the best on there. So
Oh my God, I gotta get you sidetracked for a second to say, when you do get around to playing them, if you want to go platinum hunting on the PlayStation for Final Fantasy 2, make sure you play it with a guide, because we haven't even talked about this on the podcast. I platinumed the first game because there's no missable trophies, and it was a very short game, so I was like, oh, okay. I'll platinum 2 as well, just like that'll be cool. And didn't have a guide because I wanted to go in blind, and did not realize that one of the trophies is opening all the chests. There's a location you only go to one time in the game that has a chest that you can't open till like you're right about to leave the location. You have to backtrack to the front of the dungeon and get the chest. That was the only chest I missed the entire game. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, it was so annoying looking that up afterwards. So yeah, if you're gonna platinum, I highly recommend. Like, you don't have to spoil yourself. You can find like a non-spoiler guide, but yeah. definitely recommend a guide for those. But yeah, I recommend you playing them. Like I said to both of you guys, I think as fans of the series, games here and there, all of us, like it's definitely cool to just go back and play through some of those older ones. So
yeah,
I recommend it.
Yep.
And the music. Woo.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. Yeah,
So
I was saying this earlier. Like the music in 6, man, it's like you could tell like it's Final Fantasy right there. Like like almost like right away. I'm like, oh, that intro too in 6, man. Oh my God, so good. So can't wait to play that when it goes on sale. What else I was gonna say? Yeah, the trophies. That's just crazy. I'll for sure look it up, because that's wild. That's wild. That happened with me Bloodborne, where I had to look up, like I didn't look up a guide before, and then after I finished the game, I looked it up, and it says you have to get like certain pieces to fight the boss, and like I had to do the whole game again to do that. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind for 2, if I do go for the trophies. We'll see. Yeah, so my other games, so I'll go quick with these 2. Fallout 76, I think I played like an hour or 2, and that's it. And when I was playing it, when I first dropped in, you had to make your characters, like this whole tutorial and stuff. And I was getting into it. Okay, cool. And then I get out the vault, and you're put into like this open world, and like I just didn't know what to do, so I just looked on my map for like quest markers and stuff, and I just went to the closest thing, and I shot some ghouls, I guess, some enemies, and I think I killed like some NPC or something, and I went to my quest, and then once I did get the quest, I just got like really bored of it, and because it told me to make a base or whatever, I was like, what? Why do I gotta make a base? So I just put like a base. It's like make this, and there's like a lot of quests and stuff, and yeah. I went in this area, I killed some bots and stuff, and I'm like, this is not even part of the quest. And then I guess people are comparing this to like an MMO. So I don't know how true that is, but I did like a quest, and I got really bored. I don't know what it was. So I don't know if it was the Fallout for me, because I played New Vegas and I was enjoying that. And then with 76, like I was falling asleep playing that for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I played 76 as well. And have you played 4 as well?
I played 4 for a bit, and I thought it was all right. And
How long did you play it?
I got past like the intro, so like a couple hours. So I was out in the world and stuff after like everything happened in the opening.
Okay. Well, 76 is definitely like different from the previous games. Like you were saying, it kind of has an MMO tinge to it. It's mainly online. A lot of building. Fallout 4 kind of introduced that. And 76 has come a long way since I played it. I played it maybe over a year ago. There used to be basically nothing to do in it. But now, there's all sorts of quests and stuff. But it's still way, way, way worse than something like 76, like a Fallout 4 or a New Vegas. So I can definitely see why you may have bounced off of it. It's not the prime Fallout series you'd expect.
There's lots of stuff to do, I will say. There's a lot of stuff to do. Yeah, I was getting tuned out from playing this, because I'll give it a shot. I think I'm gonna like this, and it just wasn't for me. So I haven't like played it since I stopped playing it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try out Fallout 4 these coming weeks, because the PS5 update just came out for it. So I have that downloaded. So I want to try that out. But there's people saying that it runs bad, so I don't. It's whatever. I'll try it out and see for myself. And I want to see how it plays, because 76, man, that shit was boring. So, dude, it was so, I don't know what it was. I'd just rather be like a single player game. I'd rather be isolated and just like look around and stuff, like do quests by myself and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll try out for it for sure. So, and then I only put Rebirth because I'm still playing it. So like I'm still trying to do like almost like everything in this game, because I'm really enjoying it. The combat is good as hell, man. Every Final Fantasy game after this, they should have like a similar combat system to this. And also one more thing, when I was playing Chrono Trigger, I noticed one thing. There's like dual attacks in there, so like you can do like dual combo attacks, and it's sort of like Rebirth, where like you do combo attacks with like your teammates and stuff. So, like they had some inspiration with like Chrono Trigger right there, which is cool to see. Yeah, I'm doing everything. There's not much to say. I did some part of the story, so like I'm like in the last 2 chapters now, so I'm closing in on the story. I think for sure, I think by the next time I'm done with this game. The next time we meet, so yeah, there's Rebirth. There's a lot to do in this game, so I know like Cameron talking about you're waiting for a sale. If you do wait for a sale, you're gonna get your money's worth right there. So
yeah, it's honestly it's funny too, because I always talk about sales on the podcast. It's funny. It's like almost not even for this game. I would be willing to break my waiting for a sale thing, but it's like I have such a backlog that I'm like, that's, you know what I mean? It's like a combination of the two things. It's like, why would I buy a full price if I have a backlog, rather than like, because I would gladly buy this full price if I wasn't playing anything, but I'm like, I don't know, I have like 5 other things to play. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Also, it's really funny that you mentioned the Rebirth again, because I just saw like 3 memes on the internet the other day about how much Chadley is in the game, and I'm like, low key kind of not worried about it, but I'm just like, I could not stand him in the first game, so I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, I'll just say be prepared.
Interesting.
Be prepared.
Yep.
But
no.
I got used to it now, so it doesn't really bother me as much.
Yep.
So
By the end of the game, you pretty much you get used to him. You eventually relinquish yourself to the bonds of Chadley that you were forced to be
That's
put
funny.
under. So
yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff in this game. So it's hard to talk about it without spoiling because there's a lot in this game. I'm telling you, like there's a lot. Like thinking back on it, like cause like I'm like 100 hours in. Like this game is so long. It's like Persona 5 Royal levels right there. If you try to do like almost everything, or like try to do as much as you can in this world. And some quests are good as fuck though. So
I have one question for both of you. I don't know that we've specifically hit on this very specific point. Something I really loved in Remake was swapping characters because they played so differently. And I would play a lot of the game. Like, I would literally never play as just one character.
Sure.
I would always swap, and I would always change it up. Maybe not battle to battle, but maybe like 30 minutes to 30 minutes or hour to hour. Are the new characters and even the ones that return is it really still fun to swap in Rebirth? Like, do they still keep it fresh and unique?
oh yeah, totally.
yeah,
Nice.
because you could do so what I do is I make party setups, so you have like 3 different like setups you can switch like instantly. So like I have parties with like one of each member, so like, and usually like after like a couple of hours of like playing, I usually like switch them around to like, because they have like attacks that are unique to them, like they have like special moves and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I like switching them around and stuff. And yeah,
That's awesome.
like yeah, every character has new moves to them and like new abilities and stuff. And
I'm so excited.
yeah, dude, it's so good. Like this is what I'm saying. Like the combat, like they should just like implement it into like their future games and stuff, and like and just put like some variation to it. Like that's how they did it, like back then, like 7 to 8. Like 8 was like the same combat system, right? But you have like GFs and stuff, and like you had to worry about like doing all that stuff. And I don't know about 9. I don't know how different the combat system in that is.
It's fairly similar to 8. I think there's a few changes, but it's fairly similar. I was gonna say Remake's combat, like I told friends at the time I was playing it, is like I think Remake's combat is like one of my favorite in a game ever. Like it's in the top 3 for sure.
It's great.
It's so satisfying. And honestly, what I was just alluding to, like swapping between characters, so unique and so fun to me, because like so often in games it's like you swap and they play so similar, or you swap and the other character is just not fun to play as. But I truly felt in Remake that they were all fun to play as and they were all so different.
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite was probably Tifa. I loved playing as Tifa in Remake, but obviously kind of excited to see in the Rebirth, if that changes. So we'll see.
Yeah, so man, when thinking about it, like Remake, the combat is so like bare, or not bare, but like it's like a first version, and then Rebirth's like the next update. It's like they upped it up. So that's all I'll say. So if you're like worried about that, don't worry. The combat's just good as hell.
That's tight.
And one thing before I pass it off to one of you guys, the music too, like the original music from like the old game, like you know how like they remastered like some of the old tracks and stuff, they're good, but I think I like the original tracks just as good. Like there's some like new tracks in here that like I really enjoy, and like I was thinking about buying the soundtrack, but there's 2 versions, which is dumb because there's like a regular version and then there's like a special version. So like the special version has like extra soundtracks and stuff like that, and like extra music that's not in the original one. So it's like this whole thing. So I'm just waiting for that to restock on like Square Enix or something so I can get it, because it comes with like cool art too. Like it comes with like a case and has like art from like the game and stuff. Yeah, so there you go. That's it for Rebirth. It's kind of hard to like talk about it without spoiling it, but so far, man, it's good as hell, man. So Henry, yeah, let's go with you, because you got like some cool games. I know the Star Wars, bro.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I've been wanting to like try this out because I just got added to Game Pass, so I guess that's where you're playing it. Okay, so I wanna play this.
Yeah. I picked it up on a sale at Black Friday, so no Game Pass for me here, unfortunately.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as they add it to Game Pass, of course, I play it not on Game Pass, so that's unfortunate. But it is what it is. But yeah, I played Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Respawn's Star Wars game that came out a while back. It is a weird combination of different genres, Metroidvania, action game, a lot of Souls inspiration here. I think it tries to be more of a Souls game than I think it really is, but there's a lot going on here, and I liked the first game. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a good foundation to build on in a sequel, and I thought that once the sequel came out, I was like, I'll give this a shot. Let's see what it's like. And I'll have to preface with, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. I'm not big into the lore or the characters. I think Star Wars has a very distinct charm and visual style that, like when you see Star Wars, you definitely recognize it pretty easily. But this game I went on a journey with. And I'm going to try to paint the journey as I go here. So when I first popped the disc in, it was we vaguely or briefly mentioned it a few episodes ago, but this game is download only, so that you pop the disc in and all you're really doing is just prompting your console to download the full game, which the full game is 150 gigs, which I did not foresee that happening, or I did not foresee it being that big. So I basically immediately popped it in, and my entire evening was just waiting for it to download. It took like 3+ hours for my internet connection to fully download the game. So like that was already, my entire evening of gaming pretty much gone, and not a great start to my experience with the game. Once I started the game, I noticed, like a lot of games nowadays, they have two modes: performance mode and like a visual mode, where it prioritizes like visuals, 4K, ray tracing, stuff like that, and performance, where it tries to focus on like having a steady 60 frames per second and stuff like that, but dips down in the visual quality. And most games kind of start off by default in that visual mode, and Star Wars is no different. So when I started it up, the frame rate was absolutely horrific. And like, I'm not even that big of a frame rate guy. Like I am okay as long as it is a steady frame rate. I don't necessarily need a 60 frames. So, like when I saw this frame rate chugging all over the place, I immediately switched it to performance mode. And when I did that, there was a noticeable lacking in the visuals. Like textures became very muddy. Facial expressions seemed to wane a lot. There was a noticeable dip, and a lot of times when I switched between those modes, I really don't notice a huge difference between each one. So this was the first time I've seen something like that happen. So along with that, when this game initially came out, a lot of reviews pointed out this game is a technical mess. And I thought, well, this game has been out for pretty much a year at this point. Clearly, it's been patched. Of course, it's been patched. It's got EA behind it, and it's got the Star Wars IP behind it. Like they wouldn't leave this thing to die on the vine. Not so. This is probably one of the most buggy games I have ever played in a long, long time. As I was going through the game, or after I finished the game, I jotted down some notes of all the glitches that technical issues that I had while playing through. And here is a list of some, but not all, of all the glitches that I encountered. So pop-in textures, muddy textures, game crashes, falling through the floor, T-poses during cutscenes, enemy glitches, bosses glitching out, poor frame rate outside of performance mode, my lightsaber disappearing, models incorrect in cutscenes, audio disabled during cutscenes or not matching the lip sync correctly, and levels not loading correctly and, loading into a void, so nothing is there. There were also other things that I can think of off the top of my head, like enemies floating in the air, or not being, I can't attack them because they get trapped in a wall or something like that. I mean, it was honestly kind of embarrassing, to be quite honest, especially when normally I see this kind of stuff
Wow.
It's very, very shortly after release, and then it gets patched out pretty quickly. This is clearly, this game has been out for a long time now, and they clearly are never going to patch this. Like, this is just a broken mess. So moving on from there, the reason I picked it up is because I wanted a kind of short, sweet, like story-focused cinematic experience that I could sink my teeth into and pop in and pop out. I beat the game in about 25 hours and did a majority of the side content in it. And I actually heard people say, like, oh yeah, this game's story is what really sets it apart. Some people I heard were giving it like their story of the year for 2023, and that really impressed me. So I was like, I would really love a good story, and I'd say this story does not get good until like the last quarter of the game, to a point where I was legitimately so checked out of the story for the first 3/4. I actually said, like, I don't think they can turn this around. Like, I will just not care about these characters or what's going on in this story until, the credits roll. And fortunately, they proved me wrong there. Like, there is a twist about 3/4 of the way through, like I said, and it actually made me care. It led to some really cool moments, and I ended up really liking the story towards the end. But as we continue to say over and over and over on this podcast, like, you have to justify every bit of it. You can't just say, yeah, well, the game gets good, 25 hours in, and then, expect everybody to stick around that long. So I was ultimately like frustrated with the story. I ended up liking the story, but I was frustrated with it. One of the cool additions for this game was building a cantina. So you get like a cantina on a planet very early on, and it's in shambles or whatnot, and you have to go around and recruit people. And I heard that as a big selling point for the game initially, and I was very intrigued by that. And as I progressed through the game, I learned, well, recruiting the vast majority of people for this cantina is literally you just find them in the world, you talk to them, and they say, oh, okay, I'll show up at your cantina. And then I'm like, okay, well, I felt like I'm not very invested in this character. And then you go to the cantina and you talk to them, and they do something very minor for your cantina, whether they're a DJ or they allow you to collect fish and put them in an aquarium, or they literally just talk to you and that's it. They don't often do anything of consequence that I felt was very rewarding. And I also did not get attached to any of these characters. A lot of them didn't stand out. There's only like one character that even mildly stands out. He's like your aquarium guy. He like catches fish for you. But even then, like, I thought he was very long-winded and didn't often want to hear him talk because of that. So like I pretty much skipped on most of his dialogue and interactions, which leads me to a lot of the game's incentives, which, like when you're exploring the world or moving around, like you want to be incentivized, obviously, to explore and go through all the challenges that the world has that are optional. And, in this game, I felt like the incentives for exploration were lukewarm at best. I really didn't care about them. The vast majority of them are cosmetics, specifically lightsaber cosmetics. And as somebody, like a Star Wars fan is probably really going to care about that. But again, I'm not super invested in Star Wars specifically, and I can't see a lot of the cosmetic changes that are made to my lightsaber. Like, they're so small, and it's covered up by your hand half the time. So like it didn't seem to be something that I was particularly motivated to explore the world and go through it to find. The game's combat has been mildly updated. There's a couple of new stances that have been added in this game. Overall, the combat, it serves its purpose. I'm not going to say it's great. It's not really a great action game style combat, and I wouldn't say it's a great Dark Souls style combat either, but it does its job. I can't say I hated it, but I didn't love it. Tying in with the combat, the game's difficulty. I started off with the game on normal difficulty, and I thought that was fine for a good while, but then I eventually encountered some enemies that just straight up like one shot kill you. And there's hardly anything you can do about it. There are these larger enemies that are kind of like mini boss-esque style enemies that are just kind of prevalent in the world. Very frequently you kind of run into these, and they will just one-shot you and kill you. And I've seen other reviewers say that this is a problem, and it is, the difficulty spike with these enemies is ridiculous, and so I ended up knocking the difficulty down, and I just kind of kept it at easy for the vast majority of the game because like I just didn't want to have to deal with these enemies, which that just seems like a difficulty balancing issue to me. I'm a platforming guy, so I thought platforming in this game was fun. It's definitely a little old school. A lot of people kind of compare it to like an Uncharted game, and I think that's very apt. And a lot of people consider it to be like very old and old-fashioned and not as fun. I think this game's platforming is pretty good until about like, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through the game. It started kind of grating on me a little bit, a little samey, a little old school, like people were saying. So I wasn't super invested in it at that point. I saw some people commenting on the main world of the game and how the sizes of the planets are huge comparative to the previous game, and the main world, Kobo, that you're on is gigantic. It's almost intimidatingly large. But the rest of the planets, there's 6 areas in the game, are very, very small, minus 1 or 2 exceptions. But even those are much smaller than Kobo. But they're very, very more comparable to what you maybe saw in the first game of being kind of more compact levels that really are meant to be a lot smaller. I was looking for a lot of set pieces and set piece moments in this game. I really love those in single player focus games, and at the end of the day, there's really not that many here. There are some, and the ones that are there are really cool, but they're very sparse and they're very spread out throughout the game. It's not really kind of a non-stop action-packed narrative in terms of what you're seeing on screen. A lot of it is focused on that Dark Soulsian gameplay and Metroidvania exploration and platforming, which is fine if you're into that. But again, I think that both of those elements are somewhat lackluster in comparison to what you can get from just straight a Dark Souls game or a competent platformer somewhere else that's focused on that. But at the end of the day, I think this game has a lot of Star Wars charm. I think Star Wars fans will really resonate with this game. I think that it was not for me, or it was not what I was looking for at this particular moment. Like I said, I went in with kind of a certain look, like a looking for and expectations, and it really didn't meet that for me the vast majority of the time I was playing it. I think a Star Wars fan is still really going to love this game, and I think if you liked the first game, then you're going to like this game too. It's very similar, and there's enough here to keep you coming back if you like the first one. But, it just wasn't what I wanted at the time. So I don't know, Alexis. You seemed interested. Did I scare you off at all?
Oh wow. Nah, cause I was very, very negative. I was like, I liked the first game. Did you like the first game or what?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Maybe like an 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was me. I gave it like 8.5 out of 10. Like I think it's like a fun, good game you play and you just let it go. That's it. It's on sale right now. If you were talking about it, because it's May 4th, so like it's Star Wars, so it's $25 on Amazon. Would you recommend it? Or for me, yeah, because I like the first one.
Yeah. If you like the first game, I think this is definitely going to be right up your alley. No harm in picking this one up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the combat, the worlds. I didn't really care about the characters that much. Like I only like the main character and his little droid, and that's it.
BD1.
Yeah, right. What else? Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean I like the Star Wars the lightsaber combat because it's just like a Jedi right there. So it's like it just reminds me of just like playing Battlefront, but it's just like a single player game right here. So it's just more in depth, of course. So yeah, it just sucks that it's 150 gigabytes or like. You gotta download it.
Yeah, it's
Jesus.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Which, speaking of which, my next item that I have on my recently played is Horizon Forbidden West: The Burning Shores expansion, which comes in at like a whopping 115 gigabytes because you have to have the base game as well. But it's probably a little bit odd to have this one on there since it's been out for a while and there's not really a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn buzz happening right now. But I do enjoy the series, and I do think it's important to stay on top of it, considering how much Sony seems to have invested in it. I think there's like 4 games or something in development, and then also like a TV show for Amazon or something like that. I know they have like an MMO, like a 1 or 2 sequels, and then like a spin-off game, I think, in development. So Sony's really putting a lot on this franchise, which seems interesting to me because I don't know. I just don't hear a lot of people talk about it in such reverence, like they care about it so much. You see that a lot with, something like a God of War or something like that. That makes a lot more sense to me. Horizon, not as much. But anyways, I really enjoyed the first game. I like the story of it. I love the the whole shtick of basically Monster Hunter, but with gigantic robot dinosaurs. Like, who doesn't love killing robot dinosaurs? And I wasn't as hot on the sequel. The story just didn't resonate with me as much, and really the gameplay and the world were really just pretty much more Horizon Zero Dawn. But I had heard that this DLC was pretty much necessary for understanding there was like a tie-in to the next game's story. It's like you have to play the DLC in order to understand it. I can say that after having played it, I feel like that is a lot of hyperbole there. It is kind of an exaggeration. You do not need to have played this expansion at all to understand the story. It doesn't seem like much of this story really ties into the grand overall narrative of it. There is a villain that you fight that kind of is a part of the villains that you fight in the second Horizon game, but it really it's really separated from everything, and if you miss it, you're really not missing much. But I hate going back to these expansions. DLC in general really is something that I struggle to get around to a lot of the time, because it takes such a long time for me to have to relearn things and get used to things again and remember what was happening and all that other stuff. So I typically stay away from it. But in this case, since I thought it was mandatory, I tried it, and my fears were confirmed. Getting used to the controls took me about 2/5 of the entire time I put into the DLC, which admittedly, the DLC is fairly short. It took me about 9 hours to do all side content and all main missions. There's 5 main missions and like 3 or 4 side missions, depending on which ones you want to do. So it's fairly short, but I had to what button do you think is crouch? Crouching is a very important part of this, because there is a heavy stealth component to combat for a lot of the time, and you think it's normally like R3 in most games, and you're like, okay, well, if it's not R3, what is it? Well, it's circle maybe, and then it's like, okay, well, no, it's not that, it's square. So you have to get used to all that, like grappling and platforming. I had to basically relearn from scratch. And like I said, it wasn't until about halfway through the expansion that I even really found a groove and like remembered half of the stuff that I had forgotten. So that was fairly frustrating. And also, like, this game's like story and everything you're doing really doesn't get going until about halfway through the DLC either, which is frustrating. But because I was relearning everything, it didn't hurt my enjoyment that much, because I was more focused on trying to relearn the controls than the story and characters. And luckily, about halfway through, the last 3 or so missions are actually pretty interesting. Some interesting stuff going on there. But most of it is, you get like a new enemy type, some new missions, a new map that, you're flying throughout, but that really kind of just minimizes the time that you're spending in it. But overall, I'd say this DLC is fine. If you want more Horizon, it's more Horizon, and I enjoy Horizon, so this was an enjoyable short stint for me.
Henry, just to jump in for a second, how did you feel about Forbidden West compared to the first game? Like, DLC aside, I guess, is important to know.
Yeah. I like Forbidden West. It's I prefer the first game. I prefer the story specifically in the first game. But at the end of the day, I think they're both pretty comparable. I enjoy both of them for the most part.
So I haven't played Forbidden West yet, but I did enjoy the first one. It's been a really long time since I've played it, because obviously it's been a long time since it came out. But I've been like keeping my eye on Forbidden West. I actually have it already, so it's in the backlog, but I'm just like, I don't know, it's never felt like the right time to jump back into it, so I'm actually really curious to hear about this DLC. So this is all good information for me, because I think some point this year I'll play Forbidden West. I just don't know when yet. So it's weird. I have like mixed feelings about Forbidden Dawn, where like Zero Dawn, I'm sorry, Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game. I enjoyed it quite a bit, like I was saying, but I also thought that the story was like okay. Like it was interesting, I guess, but I wasn't 100% convinced, I suppose is the best way to put it. And so I was kind of on the fence about even playing the second one, went on a big sale, snapped it up, and I'm going to play it. I guess when it comes to the DLC, it's interesting you're talking about it, because I never played the DLC for the first game because it wasn't out when I played the first game. I played the first game like basically on release almost. So the DLC wasn't out, and I didn't want to go back to it. And so with this game, obviously, I could just do them back to back. I'm be curious if I end up doing that. You know what I mean? Now that I have the option to do them back to back, we'll see. But I don't know. Something about DLCs, like I just don't really play a ton of them. Like I got the Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition because I played that well after release, and have heard the DLCs are the best part of the game. And I beat the main game and then didn't play the DLCs. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I need to figure this out. So there's been very few DLCs that I've ever played. I don't know. It's weird. I look at things, and I do this with a lot of media, whether it's like games, books, movies, whatever. I look at it as like its own thing, I guess. And so with Witcher 3, for example, right, is the main quest is the main quest, and like that was a game itself to me, right? And then the DLCs is like, I almost look at it as like another game, and I'm like, well, I don't want to play 2 Witcher games back to back, so I move on to something else, and then I just never end up playing the DLC. I don't know. It's definitely a weird thing, and I've talked to people before about this who like have a very similar feeling. It doesn't really make sense though, because it's like you could just look at it as, you know, like the rest of the main game, right? But I just, my monkey brain just does not want to think about it that way, I guess. So
monkey brain letting you down with some good DLC, man.
It is very goofy thing. But yeah, Alexis, I don't know your experience with Horizon, and also I don't know if you feel the same way about DLCs or not. I'm kind of curious to hear.
No, I'm the opposite. I like DLCs for like games, because I know with Final Fantasy 16, like the DLC dropped, like it got shadow dropped like during the Game Awards, and I was on that shit like the day after. So, yeah, I'm fine with like DLC. So, you said Witcher. That's weird because I know people love the DLC more than the main game at times. So,
yep.
And then you have Fallout as well. It's like a lot of these big open world games, they have a lot of DLC with this. And for Horizon though, I have a digital code of it because I bought the collector's edition because it was on sale at GameStop for like $45. It came with like a statue, steelbook, and all this stuff, and it doesn't have a disc though, sadly. So it has a digital code. So I do want to get into this one. So
nice.
I appreciate your take on the DLC.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
love
play
the DLC.
Witcher Blood and Wine and come back to the podcast and let you know what I think. No, I'm kidding. That's not going to be played anytime soon. But
dude,
I will play it. I will
long.
play it.
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
Long,
that's
too.
the thing too. They're like, I've heard they're like 30, 40 hours. I'm like,
super long, but I do recommend them. In Blood and Wine, you can have sex with a woman on a rainbow, on a unicorn, on a beanstalk. So there's a lot to get into.
Oh, that sounds about right
Nice.
for Witcher. Witcher gets pretty out there sometimes, in the best way. But
Yeah,
definitely it gets out there. So
nice.
well,
So,
I guess I gotta. It's up to me now to share what I've been playing, which has been one game only for the past 2 weeks, and have put quite a bit of time into it. It's always funny when when we talk about video games, and it's like oh, it's a 60-hour game. Oh, it's a 40-hour game. And if you really think about that, that's actually a lot of time. Because like if you play a game for 2 hours a day, right? In a week you'll play 14 hours.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's just math. So like games are actually like a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's just me thinking this, but like games are a lot longer sometimes than I realize. And so I've been playing Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. What a mouthful of a name. This, if you're not aware of what this is, I have some stats from the Kickstarter, but just high level, right? There was a series way back in the day. Some people say Suikoden, some people say Suikoden. It's a Japanese word. It's not going to translate right. I'll just stick to Suikoden because that's what I grew up saying. But anyways, this series, really old series, the 1 and 2 were on PS1, 3, 4, and 5 were all on PS2. So that kind of puts you in the time frame of when this series was popular. Konami series. So obviously kind of the baggage that comes with that, I suppose. Konami series, JRPG series, Suikoden, well loved, very niche in the sense that like these weren't super popular games, but the fan base is pretty dedicated. I would say this is one of the few series I'm a fan of that I think almost not everybody has, but more fans of this series have played every game in the series than any series I've ever talked to people on the internet about. So like a lot of the fans have played every game because there's 5 games. So it is a kind of a significant undertaking to play them all. And so it's kind of impressive to me that a lot of people I've spoken to have played every game. So this game, Eiyuden Chronicles, is the team, like the core team. It was the head director, the head art designer, and then the gameplay designer that made Suikoden 1 and 2. So the 2 PS1 games. That's notable for a few reasons, and I'm going to get into on my impressions. First of all, the first 2 games in the series are, the PS1 games are quite different than 3, 4, and 5 in a lot of ways. And so it's kind of notable that it's specifically the team that did the first 2 games. And the second part of that that's obviously incredible is like that they managed that they just managed to get this team back together, this long after the series has been around. I think Suikoden 5, and we're going to do a little bit of live research on the podcast. I think Suikoden 5 is like early 2000s, 2006. So mid 2000s. But that was the last game in the series. Like, think about that. That's almost 20 years, which is making me feel old and blowing my mind. But long story short, right, they got this team back together and they made a Kickstarter and they said, hey, Suikoden 6 never happened. We're going to make a spiritual successor. It's not going to use the same lore from the original series. It's not going to use the same characters, but it's going to feel very similar, right? And so this Kickstarter blew up. It was all over the internet back in 2020. 3rd most funded video game Kickstarter ever. So somewhat notable. It was the highest funded video game Kickstarter in 5 years up to that point. I think the last one before that was Bloodstained maybe in 2015. Although that sounds a little, that sounds about right, I think, timing-wise. And then most funded RPG Kickstarter. And then lastly, and it still holds this record, it's the highest Japanese-funded video game Kickstarter ever. So, like, specifically from Japan backers, this game has the most money. So, long story short, basically kind of giving all that context to say that, this game was a big deal to its fans, but it was also a big deal in general, kind of the Kickstarter. With that being said, I've been playing a lot of Eiyuden Chronicles. I think I'm like around 35 hours in. So, that math I just gave you up that quite a bit because I've been playing more than 2 a day. Clearly, the game hasn't even been out that long. here's my long story short, and then I'll do a little bit expanding on my thoughts. So the long story short is, if you are a Suikoden fan, you're going to like this game. Period. You're going to like this game, and you're also going to I don't know if it's going to be your favorite in the series. It's not mine personally so far. But you're going to enjoy it, and it feels very similar. Very similar. Like, so many things are identical. There's a lot of mini games, which is like a staple of the series. There's the castle building, which is, of course, it's the main draw of the series, is like you have a headquarters, you build it up. They do some very interesting things with that in this game I'll talk a little bit more about. But yeah, if you're a fan of the original series, you're going to like this no matter what. Have no reservations about buying it. If you don't like it, come back to me and I'll be like, do you really like the original series? Because what the heck are you talking about? It's just very similar. Here's the thing, and I've been kind of messaging you guys outside of the podcast about this. If you are not a Suikoden fan, I don't know if you're going to like this or not. I think, and that's what where I'll start elaborating, is I think that there are some design flaws that will hurt modern day gamers in a big way. And so I'll throw a few of them out there. So one thing that this game does, it tries its hardest to preserve the feel, not only of the original series, but also of old school JRPGs and all the problems that come with that, right? So one big example, there's save points. You cannot save anywhere you want in this game, right? So that is one just example of like old game design that is coming back here in this game. I'll give you another one. You can't change your party on the fly. You have to either change your party at a save point if you have a specific NPC that can change them at save points, or you have to go to either an inn or your headquarters to change your party, right? And I have seen a lot of people that were not Suikoden fans complaining about this, and I think it's a legit complaint because the draw of this series is that you amass this huge army of characters, a lot of which you can use in your party to battle with, and you can't change them on the fly without these reservations. So like I'm not able to, like, this is what I've seen people saying is like, I'm not able to experience and test out all these characters without having to like go back to headquarters and then go back to where I was, or go back to an inn and then go back to where I was. So like, to me, that is a legitimate complaint. And I think my thoughts on this game so far is the story is okay. I think it's definitely, I'm framing a lot of this in terms of like Suikoden 1 through 5 because they, shamelessly kind of went for that inspiration. Is I think this is easily one of the weakest stories in the series. They played it very safe. This game's rated E for everyone, and it shows in every possible way you can interpret what I just said.
Oh no!
Like it's very toned down. Another big draw of Suikoden for a lot of the fans, and myself included, is it's got like these interesting. I'm not gonna say it's political in the sense that like it's not like, there's not like elections and stuff happening in the game. Like, it's not a political simulator, but there's politics in the series, and that's a huge deal. Like, warring nations or coups happening. Like, these are things that have like always happened in this series. And some of that happens here, but it's just way toned down. And something, a lot of people have complained about, the localization, I think I agree. It's pretty rough. Now, this is one of those weird things we've talked on the podcast about. There's two sides to this. There's the weirdo, in my opinion, weirdo side that they're like pissed because like, they like change the gender of a line in the okay, like I'm not even going to dive into that because like that is not at all in scope, and honestly that's just people being pissed about nothing. What I'm talking about with the localization is more like some of the translations from the Japanese original dialogue is cool, like pretty rough, and it shows, and it feels very Kickstarter-y in that fashion, where like the biggest example everybody's been clowning on, and thank God I had Japanese audio turned on because I early in the game was switching back and forth between English voices and Japanese voices because this is basically a fully voice acted game. Thank God I had Japanese voices on, because when you're running into one of the recurring antagonists, one of the characters in your party calls them a fart head. And
Fart head, okay.
I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Like, this is like supposed to be a serious moment in this game, and he straight up calls him a fart head. And
it's the anime shit right there.
And exactly. And I'm like, okay, and it's also just terrible translation because in the Japanese it was closer to like jerk or like idiot. You know what I mean? Like it's like, why didn't you? I don't know. So
yeah, as the anime apologizer, fart head is not
that's
normally
translation. Yeah. And so like that's one example, and I know some people are like, oh, that's just, that just happens one time, like that they say that word specifically, but I'm like, yeah, but also it happens more than just that. Like there's some really wacky dialogue, and funny enough, there's one character in particular that has been a fan favorite. Everybody I've been talking to about this game has loved her. I think she's in completely cringe, and I do not like her, and I don't have her in my party. Her shtick is that she's like outwardly, when you first meet her, like supposedly really nice. You know what I mean? And like very like, for lack of a better way of putting it, almost just like cute girl attitude, right? Like she's like very friendly and very nice and very soft voice. And then of course, like once she gets pissed off, she starts like yelling and like insulting people. And I'm like, that is a trope. That's fine. But why I say I can't stand her is like, she's just annoying. Like she's just super annoying. And she's like yelling, and like during combat, she's like, calling people insults. And I'm like, that's just not the type of character that I gravitate toward personally. And that's the beauty of Suikoden, and that's the beauty of Eiyuden Chronicle is, okay, there's 50 other characters I can use in battle. Get her out of my party. I don't want to deal with you. So that's like the kind of the glory of these games, is that you can very much pick and choose who you want to use and who you want to like keep in your party at all times, people you can rotate in and out. So yeah, that, story and dialogue and stuff I think is pretty weak. I haven't personally been gravitating toward it very hard at all. But it's fine. I would say it's not like actively bad, right? Like it's not pushing me away from the game. It's just like the story is nothing notable, and it's very by the numbers. For this series, it feels like they truly were like, we're gonna make a Suikoden's spiritual successor, and every sense of the word, and even the story is gonna just straight up be like elements of the old games, which I'm like, it is what it is. I think the gameplay is also an interesting thing, because it's another aspect of the game that I don't know is going to resonate with everybody. So just full disclosure, something in this series that's always been a thing, whether people want to admit it or not, is auto battling has not... You don't do it 100% of the time. You don't do it 0% of the time. But you do it more in this series for a JRPG than a lot of other JRPGs that I've played personally. So like, say for example in Persona, I do have to have some kind of agency most fights to like use the right ability or use the right persona, swap between them, stuff like that. In Suikoden, you run into like trash mobs is, kind of a common thing. You run into a lot of trash mobs where like you can just straight up do auto battle, and like your party will competently deal with them. So that's always been a thing. I think it's definitely a thing here too, where like the combat, the day-to-day combat, right? So when you're not fighting a boss, when you're not, especially if you're over leveled, combat can get somewhat tedious, and that's just kind of sometimes a JRPG thing. So highly recommend people, just feel free to use the auto battle. It's pretty competent in this game. They actually have like a gambit system from Final Fantasy 12, a little bit going on here. It's not as well executed, but basically you can kind of tell your party, okay, when I auto battle, don't use MP or don't use items, right? And so like you can kind of customize that a little bit to a certain extent. Now, this is probably, of all the things, obviously I've been kind of mostly negative. I do think, like I said, for fans of the series, you're going to like this because the headquarters building is done extremely well. In fact, it's better than it's ever been in the series because they have almost like a node system. Think Sphere Grid from Final Fantasy X, for those who have played it, is your castle has like a sphere grid basically, or like a node system that you can level up. And as you level up the castle, you get different, buildings, right? And that goes along with the NPCs. That's always been a draw of the series. Like if I find the character, her name's Frida. If I find Frida, who is the like armor seller, or however what the word armor, I guess is technically the word for that. If I find her in the overworld or in whatever town she's in, and I fulfill her requirements, and I have her join my army, then I level up my castle back at the home base, and I have an armor shop at my castle now. Like that's always been a kind of the Suikoden loop, right? Is like, oh, I don't have a blacksmith at my headquarters. There's an NPC that is a blacksmith. If I fulfill his requirements, he'll come to my headquarters and open up a blacksmith shop. So it's like, that's kind of the loop. And that in this game is like I said, it's the best it's ever been in the series in terms of leveling up the castle. You have somewhat interesting decisions to make where, you have this node system. Do I want to build an armor shop first or an item shop? Do I want to, build a hot spring? And the great thing about this game that the other games in the series didn't do is it'll actually show you, like, it's like a black outline, so you can't actually see the like details of the character's face, but it will show you an outline of the character who you need to get that kind of shop. So like, say you haven't recruited the person who runs the item shop yet. You can look at the upgrade system and you can see kind of their outline and be like, have I run into somebody that looks like that? Because a lot of the characters are somewhat unique. And if that's the case, okay, maybe I'll go back and I know where they are. If not, another kind of staple of this series, because you're recruiting so many characters in these games, is there's always an NPC you can get that will kind of tell you where the recruitable characters are, right? So it's like a fortune teller in this game, and they're like, oh, she'll be like, oh, this character trades their stock in the city with fountains, right? As a random description I'm just throwing out there that I saw the other day. Well, then immediately springs to your mind, oh, there's a town that has a very distinct design. They have like fountains everywhere. Okay, I'll go there. Oh, there's the person, right? And I think that's all done really well in this game. The recruiting system and the headquarters is all super, super good. And that's why I say fans of the series are going to like this game, because those are kind of the unique things of the main series. Like I said, story, it has its draws. I think it's just okay. The gameplay is tough for me to talk about because I'm a bit conflicted on it. I think I think so. It's a turn-based JRPG. It has magic. It has skills. Has auto attacking. It's all fairly similar, things to a lot of other games. Where I think it falls short is, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about this too, is the magic in this game is very weak. And that's a big problem for me with this game, because part of the draw of Suikoden is you have all these characters, right? You have 108 characters that can join your castle, right? Or your army. And out of those 108, maybe 60 are people you can use in battle, right? And the other 48 might be shopkeepers, or it might be your army's tactician who doesn't fight in like day-to-day battles, right? Like random enemy mobs. In the original series, you always had this interesting balance of how your party composition is, right? So do I want a lot of mages in my party? Do I want a lot of, auto attackers? Do I want a couple of both? Like, various games in the series have various different party sizes, anywhere from 4 to 6 people. The problem with Eiyuden is I'm heavily de-incentivized to use anybody who is strictly a mage, because auto attacking does way more damage than magic in this game. And also, my healing magic is very limited. So in this series, historically, the magic system is dictated basically by, they call them runes, and different elements. So like water is a more like healing rune. So you'd put that on a character and then they're your healer, right? So there's some customizability there. Problem with this game, right, is the healing spells are not phenomenal, right? If I have a character with 300 health, maybe the healing spell only heals them for 80, right? And then on top of that, the magic offensively is very weak. So what that means is, like, why would I not just have an army of 6 auto attackers or skill attackers, right? Like, why would I not have an army of 6 clouds? I don't need an Aerith, because, like, the magic sucks. So, like, that has kind of been one of my bigger complaints. I've been told, because I've been participating in, like, the Discord for this game, just trying to kind of, like, make sure, because there's been some bugs with this game, and that's a whole nother aspect. They've ironed out most of the game breaking bugs by now, so like that part of it is more of a minor issue, I would say. But on the Discord, I've been talking to people about this, and like it's a pretty common thing where people are complaining about the magic early game. Apparently it scales somewhat well. I'm seeing that a little bit as I'm hitting like level 40-ish. My healing spells are healing a lot more than they used to, but my attacking spells are still terrible. So I'm like, that aspect of this game, and that's why I say if you don't have that bias, this game has some problems, and I think you're going to be on the fence about it. So like, say for example, Henry, like if the castle building aspect of it and the NPC, like amassing this big army, that doesn't sound like you're like, oh yeah, like huge thumbs up. I don't necessarily know that I'd recommend this game to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I would recommend this game to you, because it's got problems. Like the day, like I keep saying day to day, but I think that's a good way to describe it. The day to day gameplay of this game is flawed, right? So like, I don't know if you don't have that pull to like build up to your, getting your castle, and like, you love having this huge cast of characters. Like, I don't know if you're not there for that. I don't know if you're going to be there for this game. Like, because the other things that go with that are kind of the weaker parts of the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's tough. It's tough to recommend. Unless you've been a fan of this series. The only other thing before I kind of open the floor to you guys, if you have any questions about the game, the only other thing I want to specifically call out is the and this kind of goes back to the archaic design of this game, is it feels very old school in the sense that like some of the quality of life things are pretty rough. I'm dealing with it because I'm despite as negative as I might sound, I'm very much enjoying this game. Like, this is right up my wheelhouse, and I've been craving, the base building aspect that only this series can provide me for some time. So like, I'm really loving this game, but the only other thing I wanted to mention is some of the archaic game design is quite rough. So like the mini games, it's just the tiniest stuff that just is old school game design, right? So there's a cooking mini game, and even just getting into the mini game takes a few seconds. And I'm on a PS5, so it takes a few seconds. And then when the mini game wraps up, it takes a few seconds, right? And then little thing. Yeah, oh god, I'll talk about that in a minute. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, you played the Switch version, or what was going on with that?
Yeah, the Switch version is really bad. I would recommend people not play the Switch version, because the PS5 PC are like running miles better than any other version. Now PS4 is, I've heard, tolerable. I'm playing the PS5 version, so I can't speak one for one to that. Switch version is awful. Like, I've seen videos of it. You load into a battle, it takes 5-10 seconds. You finish a battle, it takes 5-10 to get back to the overworld, which in a game with random encounters, that's bad. Like, that's rough.
Because it's traditional. It's very traditional.
Exactly. And like the thing with the mini games, like I was talking about, is like that's universal on every console, right? There's this lag. It's even worse on Switch. And so like probably I would say, the story is fine for me, but my biggest complaints is the magic system and then the mini games. And the mini games, it's a minor complaint, but they're just okay. And the series has always had pretty good mini games. So it's, okay is sort of a downgrade in that sense. They have they have one mini game that's almost like Beyblade, where you're throwing tops. But you know what the flaw of that is? Every NPC you run into has way better tops than you do until way later in the game. So it's like, I can't even play this mini game till I'm like 40 hours in, because I'm getting steamrolled by every person I try to play it against. So it's like, that to me is if this wasn't Kickstarted, if this was a bigger studio, I think that somebody had balance designs the mini games better, right? Because another big problem with the mini games, and there's probably, 6-7 mini games, maybe more. The cooking mini game, which they put a lot of investment into. It's fully voice acted. It has multiple NPCs that are tied to it. It has a storyline to the cooking minigame. So like they clearly put a lot into the cooking minigame, but guess what? Like, it was bugged at release, where every single dish that you made, the judges would rate terribly because they were basically just hating every food choice you made. And then now they tried to fix it. It's still bugged. Every judge will only give you good scores for appetizers. So basically the way the cooking minigame works, right, is it's a 3-course meal. It's appetizer, main dish, dessert. And your point system is based off of, you're supposed to guess, like they give you descriptions on each of the judges, right? And so you're supposed to guess, what dessert will this judge like? What main course will this person like? Oh, they like spicy food. I have a dish that's really spicy. I'll do that as my main course, so on and so forth. The problem with this, as I was just saying, is every dish in the game right now is like the judges only want appetizers. So if you make them a dessert, if you make them a main course, you're automatically going to get terrible scores on it. And so I'm just like, there's problems with this game that I'm just like, this is, full disclosure to anybody listening, is Rabbit and Bear Studios was created to make this game. It's like a 10-person studio. So this is not a game that has a ton of resources available. So I'm willing to cut them some slack. But I'm also like, guys, like, we got to figure this out because you've clearly invested so much into this cooking minigame and it doesn't even work. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's just like, oh, just make a bunch of freaking miso soup and fried eggs because those are appetizers. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't have to do this. Like, the cooking minigames was always a big draw in this series because it's fun to get this big army and, like, have to find out what all these NPCs like to eat, right? And so, long story short, right, and I've been talking a lot about this game. It's sort of the newest JRPG. It's, pretty hot topic lately. So I have been talking about it a lot, but basically, long story short, I think it's a very flawed game and it's a very old feeling game. But for people who liked Suikoden and for people who like traditional JRPGs, I do think you're going to enjoy this game. Flat out.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, so with this, because I saw a video of it, like Mr. Matty plays or whatever, because he does like RPGs and stuff like that.
Sure.
And he said he really liked it, even though he never played the original Suikoden games. So.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah. So, because he said that, he said that was like traditional and stuff. Like, I think I read something that you can't save unless you're somewhere specific, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or yeah, and then random encounters, of course.
Yep.
I kind of hate that because I usually turn off random encounters whenever I'm playing like an old RPG game when it's like updated and stuff, when they give you like the tools to do that. So I guess because I know like the remasters for Suikoden are gonna come out, so I'm interested to see like the comparisons, and if you are gonna play them, like I want to see like what do you think about both of them, and if they still hold up as well with this, because it was on Kickstarter, so like you'd be saying like it's very Kickstarter-ish. With the dialogue maybe sometimes, and like I guess they just wanted to be really faithful, and then some people really like that. So
yep.
Are you with that?
And I have seen some people actually like straight up saying that they've been liking the story because it's like Suikoden. And I hear what they're saying, and like I'm picking up. My problem is I'm picking up hints of that, but they didn't go far enough. Like I was saying, the G rating nature of this I think hurts the game because, say in Suikoden 1, I'm not going to spoil it, and yes, I know it's a 30-year-old game, people, but like. It's a phenomenal game, and I'm not going to spoil one of the biggest story moments in the game, but there is a moment in the game where a murder happens that is handled very well and very maturely in the game. And I think it adds to the flavor of the story of Suikoden 1 in a big way when that moment happens. In this game, right, that same moment would be like somebody like getting bonked on the head and getting knocked out, right? Or like they fall off a cliff and then they get caught by, the seat of their pants or something. Like, my point I'm getting at here is like, it's like made for younger, like very young audience, but it's a legacy game. So I'm like, why didn't you ramp the story up in maturity a bit? Because everybody kickstarting this is like in their 30s and 40s plus, like, you know what I mean? We're all they're fans of the original series. So, yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, that sucks. Because the thing is, like, because I don't really care about ratings, but, like, I think the E rating that you mentioned, I think it definitely hurts it because there's, like, some subject they can't talk about.
Yep.
Unless they were making it and then somehow they never went past that barrier to be a T for teen, so it's E for everyone, so... yeah, because I know Suikoden 1 and 2 are like T for teen, so it was like you're talking about like all the story stuff and like how like mature, more mature than normal, so
yeah, and go ahead, Henry.
Yeah. I'm just listening to everything you've been saying so far. It seems that you're listing a lot of negatives, and a lot of these negatives are pretty large. Not great gameplay, not great story. Like I know that there are elements that Suikoden fans like, in the series, and I'm just wondering if all these negatives may surpass the positives. Would you still recommend this game to somebody knowing all these flaws?
No, I wouldn't necessarily, because what things happen. So let me put it this way: what things happen in the story do feel very traditional, but they're very they're very like JRPG in general. So like, for what I mean by that basically is I don't think you're gonna dislike the story. You know what I mean? I think you actually might like the story. I just don't think you're gonna think it's like one of the most mind-blowing stories you've ever seen, right? Kind of the same thing with the combat. It's like, I don't think you're gonna dislike the combat. I just think you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I mean, a lot of these characters kind of suck. Like the mages is what I mean. So I guess, you know, and like I was telling you, I'm kind of coming at this overly negative, maybe in a sense, but to answer your question, like, no, I think if those aspects do intrigue you, that, and this is what I say about Suikoden as well, if you guys ever want to go back and play them, is they do things I've never seen in another series so well that I do still think, Henry, that you'll get something out of this. Like, even if you're like, yeah, you know, I'm not hot on the story, I think there's still a lot here to like, if that makes sense. It's just, I think there are some balancing issues that like are hard to ignore. Like, I think if you do like recruiting characters, you're going to have fun here, but then you're also going to recruit somebody and be like, oh, this guy kind of sucks because he's not very balanced very well. And I think that's where the Kickstarter nature kind of comes into play. So
some balancing issues then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So another question I have, kind of jumping off of that, is, you know, we often talk about, you know, like, you know, games need to kind of be entertaining from the get-go. You know, you don't need to, you know, encourage a player to, you know, sit through 10 hours of content before it actually starts to get good. And you kind of alluded to that may be the case. So I know that the series itself has, like, typically it takes a while to get going from what I've heard. Mm-hmm. So, like, how long does it particularly take before I should start to enjoy this game? You know, what is the commitment I'm looking to have to put in here?
It's funny you mentioned this. This is a staple of the series. They have notoriously slow starts. So, like, it's funny you mentioned that because, so typically what will happen in a Suikoden game, and I'll say the same thing applies to Eiyuden, is typically what will happen is you get a very slow introduction sequence. And I'm talking, when I say very slow, like, it varies depending on the game in the series. In Eiyuden's case, I'd say it's a good solid like 5 hours where you're just like, it's setting the stage. Like, you're meeting the characters, you're going through a dungeon in that time, in that 5 hours, but it's really like set dressing, right? It's setting the story, you're meeting the characters, you're going through your first dungeon, you're learning combat, right? And then you get out into the world. And typically what I find with the base building, to answer your question, Henry, is like, I'd say rough estimate is like 20% of a Suikoden game is at that point is when you get the base. And the same thing applies to Eiyuden. Like, I've been playing for probably about 35 hours, and I got the HQ somewhere around hour 12-ish, hour 10. And I think the game's like 60 in total. That's why I say 20% is actually almost a perfect barometer, I would say. So yeah, it definitely takes a while to get to that point, which I hear you. That is kind of a, I guess, a limiter to people who are there for the base building. You do have to get to that point. But yeah, it's probably about 10, 12 hours, I would say.
All right. So, as part of preparation for this podcast, Eiyuden Chronicles is free via Game Pass. So I decided to, in order to give more of a fresh perspective of somebody who doesn't have, you know, a rose-tinted glasses of the original series that inspired this game, you know, I'd give it a shot. So I played it for about an hour or two, something like that, made it out of the first dungeon, had access to the open world, kind of had a decent grasp of the base mechanics, I guess. And I'd say the first thing that really struck me about this game is that for a Kickstarter game, it actually looks really nice. Like, the production values behind the environments that you go into and the battles, the battlegrounds that you fight in, and you know, the pixel art itself all looked honestly really good for what I was expecting from a Kickstarter game. Same thing with the voice acting. Every single character in this game is fully voiced, which is honestly very impressive. You don't even see like huge games, like full budget the AAA games that do that in a lot of JRPGs. So very impressed with that overall. After that, though, yeah, a lot of the, what we've been calling like old school JRPG, jank kind of started creeping in. So I auto battled pretty much everything. I didn't even figure out how to really use. I was still getting tutorials for how to battle until the first boss, because I saw no need to actually learn how to battle up until that point, because the mobs were just auto battle trash. Random encounters, I absolutely despise random encounters. It's something that I'm glad we've kind of moved away from as a society as a whole, and this game is obviously full of them. They're annoying, they're outdated, and there's a reason that we don't really do those anymore. So that really beat me over the head. The story did not call out to me at all. The characters seemed fine, I guess. There wasn't enough time for me to really get involved or invested with them. And then, obviously, I hadn't interacted with the base building mechanics at all, but at some point they told me, oh, you need to go find this magical girl. I ran off to try and find her, and another thing that I noticed is this game does not really hold your hand in terms of where to go and what to do. And I've heard that is a common complaint I've seen for a lot of quests and side quests. So, I ran off, tried to find her, and I got lost, or I couldn't find out where she was or where I was supposed to go. So, I basically continued to hit random encounters for the extension of the time I was looking for her, and I got frustrated and just put the game up. So I can't say that I had a huge positive first impression with this game. It didn't really hook me in. It didn't really sink its teeth into me. So I'm not sure how much further I'm going to go with this game. But my main question that I'd have to propose back to you, Cam, is, it seems like this game is not what you would say the entry point for a newcomer to the series, or the spiritual successor would be. We all know that Konami is working on the Suikoden remasters of, I believe, 1 and 2, and what would you say to somebody who asked, I didn't really like Eiyuden, would I still want to play the originals? Should I still go back and play the originals after trying Eiyuden?
So I have a quick question, and I'm curious, did you play, was it like a demo, or did you have it on Game?
It's on Game Pass.
Oh, it's on Game Pass? I didn't know it was. So I guess something that's interesting, and maybe this might help you, maybe this might not, maybe you're done with it anyways. The map will actually tell you where to go. So there's a blue dot, like a blue sphere, and it'll always be on exactly the next area you need to go to.
Whoops.
So yeah, I mean, I just to kind of address that, I don't know if that, like I said, I don't know if that'll help you or if you're done. I'd understand either way. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because yeah, it should in theory guide you. But to your point now, and this is why I'm glad you brought this up, the old games did not do that. So the old games very much were, like you're saying, in the sense of it would tell you to go meet somebody. And if you, the thing I always loved about the original series, I say loved kind of ironically, is those were definitely the type of games, if you walked away from, you were going to be in trouble, because they would tell you to go, meet somebody at Alton or something like that. And if you did not remember where you were going next, you could sometimes talk to typically it was your army leader. You could go talk to them, or your strategist. There's always a strategist character. You could go talk to them and they would be like, oh, aren't you supposed to go to Alton or something like that? But not always. So in the original games, yeah, you could definitely get stuck in the old school rhythm. But to answer your question, I hadn't actually thought about that till you just asked me. I would say that going back to the originals could still be worth it for you, depending what you're trying to get out of it. So, Henry, one red flag you just mentioned of why I might suggest you away from the originals, every single game in the series has random encounters, and a couple games in the series are notorious for having high rates of random encounters. So I would say right off the bat, if that's something you want to avoid, that might be a problem. And something Eiyuden does that the original Suikoden games did not do is you can actually equip an item that removes random encounters in this game, but it takes a while to find. So, like, again, that's the whole discussion of it would take you way too long to invest the time into finding that. But the original games did not do that. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say that they still hold up and that they're still great games on their own, but they're definitely older JRPGs, and it depends what you're looking to get out of it. I can tell you right now, Henry, if you boot up one and play for 2 hours, the story will bring you in more than Eiyuden. I can almost guarantee you that. So if you want to care about the story, I can almost guarantee that the first game will be better in that front. It has a slow start, but it's much more compelling, and there's some interesting twists in that game, even early on. So yeah, it's tricky, but I would say I think you could still go back to the originals and still have fun. I think.
Nice. So, you satisfied with that Eiyuden Chronicles, Cam?
Yeah, so far,
Yeah.
very satisfied. Really ramping up the base building, so
Nice.
I've been having some cool stuff getting built, like customizing and things. It's pretty fun.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, I'll check it out if it's on a discount as well. So, see some gameplay of it. All right, let's get into our last part, inquiry. We can get this really quick. This is from Taylor Woodson. Appreciate the question, Taylor. Hello, gentlemen. Been loving the podcast. I was wondering if you typically play games on the hardest setting your first playthrough, or do you prefer an easier playthrough so that you can just enjoy the story? Additionally, if I ask you, what are some of the hardest games you've ever played? What games come to mind, and did you beat them? For me, it's Elden Ring, which he beat, Super Meat Boy, which he didn't beat, which I understand, and Kingdom Hearts BBS on Proud Mode. Definitely did not beat it.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm asking you guys, what is BBS on Proud Mode? Like real
Birth
quick.
by Sleep. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. It was the PSP game. But they remade it on like modern day consoles with that collection.
Yeah. And I'm guessing Proud Mode is the highest difficulty then?
Yeah, Proud and Kingdom Hearts was like the OG hardest, and then now they have Critical on some games, but Proud is typically the hardest. So
Okay. Nice. So yeah, for this so for the games that I play, I think I play like on normal, like almost every game. I know like for like new games I definitely play on normal, but for like games that I'm used to, I just play like on the whatever the next tier is, or like above hard. No, not above hard, but like a tier below like the most difficult one. Like for Rebirth, I'm playing dynamic, which is sort of like hard, but it just makes it so like every enemy you fight is the same level as you. So like if you go back to like a previous area, the enemies there are gonna be the same like tier skill as you. So like some like fodder, they're gonna be like they'll hit hard if you don't know what you're doing, and they still have like higher HP and stuff like that. Like Persona 3 Reload, I'm playing on Merciless, which is like the hardest. And I think it's because I got used to that sort of play style, so I'm like playing on the hardest to like make it easier. And you know, they added some new additions to it to like make it easier for like people to play and stuff. So I think I'm mostly like normal. I know like Henry, you play like easy, right?
I skews towards easier. Not all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Remember
Yeah,
we had
and
a
then,
discussion about this, so this question was very funny coming up because I remember, actually, and Henry, I don't know if you feel the same way. Alexis, I'm a little shocked to hear you say you play on normal.
Yeah, I know.
Because I thought before you were saying you were like hard to the core. I was like, okay, I was expecting you to say that today.
I think it's more for like games that I know. So like if it's something I don't know, I'm playing on normal. Like Ghost Runner, like I played that one. I think there's like difficulties. I just played normal because it was still difficult on normal, and it was like my first time playing it because I don't want to play a game and get frustrated because like I have that problem like Dark Souls 3. Like Dark Souls 3 is tough, so it's kind of hard to like get through it. So I know like in Rebirth, like some parts are really easy, so like I usually play like on harder to make it harder for myself. Because it makes the story more impactful, which is kind of weird, but yeah. Oh my god, it was 16 was easy, and like
I heard this.
It was very easy.
I heard
and,
from
like,
everybody that it was really easy.
Yeah, and they give you a lot of lifelines. I'm talking about like you get like there's no lives, but like you can, if you die, you can respawn with like more health, but the enemy is like down to like half the health to make it easier.
Oh wow.
So it almost felt like a story playthrough. Even now it's like on normal, right? And like there's like a mode in there called story focused or whatever, and it makes it so like you do auto combos and stuff, and you get like more health and stuff, and like there's items that give you like regen health, more damage and stuff like that. Yeah, that was for me. Like I just do normal and then hard if I want like a challenge. So.
And what is the hardest game you've played?
Ooh, it's funny because he talked about Super Meat Boy, and like
He gives good examples.
That was dude, because it was a PS Plus game like in 2011 or something. And I remember, yeah, something, and like I played it, and man, some of the levels are so tough. They're like, it's like the hardest game to play, but like it'd be bullshit sometimes because like you only have one shot, so like
It's pretty bad.
if you get hit like by like anything hazardous on the level, you just get sent back to the beginning of the stage. And like some of those are like kind of hard to navigate and stuff. And yeah, it's like them. If you've seen those videos of Mario Maker of Kaizo levels,
Yeah.
I think that's what they're
Oh
called.
my god. Yes.
Yeah, those. It's like that. That's like the whole game right there. And
That to me, and just jump in for a second and say, because the Kaizo is an interesting thing. That to me is a different kind of difficulty, and it's the same kind of difficulty as Super Meat Boy, Alexis. So I like that you brought that up. But to me, that's even different than an Elden Ring. Like Super Meat Boy and Kaizo levels are straight up just pattern recognition.
Muscle
like it's
memory.
literally just muscle
Yeah.
memory, and like Elden Ring, I know people are going to be like, oh yeah, parrying, blocking is muscle memory, whatever. Like if you want to be technical, whatever. But like that's more of it's like a different kind of hard, you know what I mean? And like I actually like the second one way more than the first. Like I like it when it's hard because it's like a Dark Souls level of hard. I don't like the Super Meat Boy. I tried Super Meat Boy. I bounced off of it. I don't like the whole like I'm going to play a level like 500 times and know exactly when to jump. And that's the difficulty for the most part. Now, transitioning to answer the question for some of the hardest games I've played, funny enough, I just said I don't really like games like that, but Celeste, 100%, doing that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And that was one of the only games like that I've enjoyed, where it's like a platforming kind of hard. That game was extremely difficult, really fun, really good game, great music. Don't really recommend doing the 100% because it gets really tedious and it is very much just pattern recognition. But I was just hooked on the game and I couldn't stop playing. But I would say for me, it's like I find that I usually do play on hard, and what I typically do is I start on the hardest, and if it's too hard, I bump it down. And I have no reservations about like bumping it down. So like, yeah, that's what I do. And honestly, I couldn't tell you why I don't know that there's a reason I could pinpoint and be like, yeah, I just like games being difficult, but I just do. For example, Eiyuden has a hard mode. I started out on it, even though people were like, yeah, pretty much all it does is just, it's a stat buff to the enemies. And I'm like, that's fine. These games are typically easy. And I'm glad I did, because it's like, okay, it's spiced it up a little bit. And I think that's what I kind of look for. And, it's funny, Taylor brought up, and Taylor is a friend of mine, so shout out Taylor. But Taylor and I have talked a lot about Kingdom Hearts in the past, and I've talked to him a lot about, the secret bosses in Kingdom Hearts are incredibly difficult on the highest difficulties. But it's very satisfying, much like Souls games. It's very satisfying to like finally beat that boss if you're playing on hard. So I think I kind of look for that as well. But it's funny, when I read this question, the first thing I actually thought about, and I don't know if it's similar for you guys, I find that I actually think more about bosses that have been the hardest rather than the games that I've played that have been the hardest. Because like when I hear somebody say, oh, a hard game, like I think of Millennia, right? Like I don't think of Elden Ring, right? I think of Millennia specifically. It's kind of funny. Like, I don't know. I think about bosses individually, or like, he brings up Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. There are some absolutely disgusting secret bosses in that game. Easily the hardest in the series, in my opinion. And one of them, I remember, not Birth by Sleep, but I remember that boss specifically, of just like me spending all night finally beating him, for like literally fighting him for like 4 hours straight. It was something insane. Like
Damn.
it seriously, I don't know if it's 4, but it was literal hours. Like, because he basically just two shots you, and unless you heal constantly throughout the fight. So, Henry, I'll kick it to you. But yeah, I mean, that's, to me, it's like I think more of like bosses almost than games.
Yeah, for me, I typically think of the whole. I get your thinking about moments and bosses specifically. But for me, I do think of that overall picture when I think of a difficult game. I feel like I am the odd man out here. Obviously, I feel like I need to defend myself a little bit. I'm the one who has kind of frequently referenced I do typically skew towards easier experiences. But I feel like there is a story behind that and a reason behind that. So like I've kind of started off, I normally do play games. I start on normal and I kick it down to a lower difficulty if I, feel the need to speed it up, or, I'm not particularly enjoying the combat, or I just care about the story. I'll often, if I start a game on an easier difficulty from the get-go, it's typically a game that I don't really care about, a game that I'm just kind of jumping in and out of. Maybe it's a free game for the month or something like that. I just want to experience it for a little bit, get a little taste of it, and go out. When I was younger, I used to always start games on easy, and then I would, on a second playthrough, go to normal, and then on a third playthrough I would go to hard, and so on and so forth. And that was just to milk out time with a game, because back in the day there were just so few games that you had to make the most out of the games that you had. So that was my way of making my games go a little bit further. So I've always been okay with playing on an easier setting. I would kind of, as Tyler's question kind of states, I would enjoy the story on easy mode, and then I would start to kind of get an appreciation for the mechanics on normal, and then I would finally kind of master the game on hard. And I'm not adverse to playing hard games either. I've played and beat Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Elden Ring, a few other games, kind of that ilk. I'd say, as for the games that I've played that are hardest, I mean, we've talked about Super Meat Boy. I'd say that is probably the hardest game I've ever played. It's ridiculous. I don't think it's fun. I got like halfway through it, and I was like, I don't know why people say this game is fun. Like it's like Cam was saying, it's just muscle memory, and it's not even like easy muscle memory. It's like, this will take you an hour to master a singular level. So probably that's the hardest. I've played a couple of other games that are considered quote unquote hard, Getting Over It with Binit Fadi, or I Want to Be the Guy, but these are like rage inducing games. They're deliberately balanced to be frustrating or unfair to the player, so I don't really count those, and I didn't play those for very long. Again, just kind of jumped in and out to get a taste of them. Probably the hardest game I've ever played was Mass Effect 2 on its highest difficulty. I love Mass Effect 2 specifically, and I wanted to platinum that game. So I went through the hardest difficulty, and it was it's what makes people like hard difficulties, I think, is you really do feel that sense of satisfaction having gone through it all and persevered through these really difficult times. I will say that like Mass Effect 2's hardest difficulty, like I don't think you are ever intended to actually play on that. Like I pretty much had to bug the game at certain points to get through certain fights. That difficulty is definitely not scaled to be appropriate for the player. But that's, I think, overall, I think that's probably why I do what I do, my hardest game. And I really do appreciate the question, Tyler. We always appreciate knowing somebody's listening, and it means a lot. So thank you for writing in.
Yeah, I'm with
Nice.
Cam on like the bosses and stuff, because I can recall like some bosses like off the top of my head. So not really a boss, but like When I was playing like the campaigns for like Call of Duty, like the old ones.
Oh my god!
I would play because
some of them are brutal.
Yeah,
on
those are
veteran.
horrific.
because I have some of the platinums for them when they came out. So like you had to play like on veteran, and man, that shit was tough. It's like,
Yeah.
there was like some moments where like you thought it was impossible to like, and then because like there's checkpoints and stuff. And, like yeah, it's like this whole thing.
That Ferris wheel section, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's shooters
man.
are a specific kind of hard, I think, too, because like making it harder just makes the enemies have like laser sight on you, which is
Yeah.
like super annoying. It's like
They have aimbot.
like Call of
Aimbot.
Duty is notorious for this. At least when I was playing them, is like you up the difficulty and they basically just start hitting you from like the most stupid angles. Like you'll be like tucked behind like 99% cover and they'll hit you on the 1%. Like it's like insane how hard they get on Call of Duty specifically. But yeah, shooters are definitely a different kind of hard. And it's funny, Henry, you brought up Mass Effect because I played the collection last year for the first time ever. And I played 1 on hard and then actually swapped down for 2 and 3 because I was dying so much in 1. Because I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, why is it? It's like you have to have a. And 1 wasn't, I don't think. I say dying all the time. I wasn't like, I wasn't like doubling my playtime. But like, I started playing 2 and I'm like, if I don't pick this specific build or this specific party comp, I'm just gonna die. Like, there's no way around it. You know what I mean? It's just gonna happen.
Yeah, it's a different
And then
beast, yeah.
also with that game, it's a kind of another like little funny thing with difficulty. I'm sure you guys have dealt with where like it happens in Halo too. If you have to wait to like get your health back, I hate that kind of thing 'cause I'm a very impatient person. So like I love the souls of just like, hey, let me just pop a potion. Whereas like in a shooter, right? And it's basically every shooter operates like this. You just auto heal. I'm like, oh, I have to just go sit there, sitting still for like 10 seconds till I get my health back, and then I can keep playing. So I'm like, ugh, like screw you, Call of Duty. I don't want to freaking just sit behind the box for 10 seconds every minute. So,
You remember that mission in COD 4 where you're sniping in the grass or whatever?
Yeah,
yes. Oh my
think
God.
I think it was that one that was like they found it very tough to beat.
yeah. That was the hardest one for me by far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Chernobyl, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is bringing back memories for sure. Oh my God.
Did
that
you
was
play the
brutal.
remaster?
Yeah. I
Um,
did.
Okay, because
I
it was free
did,
for one of
yeah.
the months. That's how I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I was always a Modern Warfare 2 guy. That's the one we
Mm.
got hooked the most on with my friends growing up. That's the one I, had the most fun playing. So,
Nice.
yeah, I was always a Modern Warfare 2 guy. Spec Ops is so fun. I wish they would just straight up just do that again instead of like zombies and all this BS. Because like Spec Ops is so fun. Just co-op missions. I've always been a big co-op gamer. So
Nice.
always loved that. So
The zombies though, like in the older games, were good. They just
Yes.
diluted it. That's why.
it's like way too overly complicated now. I tried to jump back in with a friend because he was like, hey, you want to play zombies? And I was like, okay, sure. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm like, there's like a story. We have to like do this objective before this thing opens. I'm like,
That's
it used to
good.
just be pay to open the door. Like, I don't know. It's like too complicated now for me. But
Which
I
which
don't
one did you play? If you remember.
God, I don't even know. Black Ops something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
They blend together.
Okay, because Black Ops 3 was the peak, honestly. It's like,
Yeah.
and like all the things that
I
you
hear
hate,
you.
I think I like, because like it was like very different from like the multiplayer and stuff. Because it's like,
That's funny.
like this could be its own game. Like it doesn't have to be like COD. Yeah, and then man, like
Yeah.
DLCs were so hyped because I'll just be playing the zombies and that's it. And like
That's
like
so
this whole
funny.
convoluted thing. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with you, Henry. I really liked the question. I think this is a really good question.
For sure,
honestly, in
for
general.
sure.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So, we guys good with the?
Yeah.
I'm good to
Yeah,
go,
I think so.
baby.
All right, so that wraps it up with another episode of the Plug and Play podcast. Goodbye to everybody. Henry, you want to say your goodbyes?
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Plug and Play podcast. Feel free to rate us on both Apple and Spotify, and send us a email inquiry like Taylor at pluginplaypodcast1@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening.
Nice.
Boom.
Appreciate
Couldn't have said it better myself. Hey, people knock people saying that. It's proven to get more listeners and engagement. So, hey, I'm down with it. Final word for me. I just noticed this on the note sheet we use for Google Docs. I brought another JRPG. Can I make it like 6 months in a row with our next episode with another JRPG?
Creature
Probably
of habit,
yes.
man.
So, hey guys, I can't help it. I like what I like. You know.
Yeah, you like what he likes. So thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out, guys.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.